In spring training, the Marlins always like seeing Albert Pujols. Great player, great guy. But in the regular season, not so much. He remains the most feared hitter in Major League Baseball. And he's in town for 4, Marlins and Cardinals. Marlins are back home in South Florida, opening up an enormous homestand, both in number of games and in opponents. First up, the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals and Marlins, this is a 4-game series. The Marlins right at 500. It is Coast Guard night tonight. We will celebrate that. King Albert is in the house. Albert Pujols and the Cardinals. Emilio Bonifacio, the player of the month in July, the home run leader in the National League. Guess who's right on his tail? That would be Mike Stanton. Omar Infante welcoming Rafael Furcal to St. Louis. We welcome you here to Sun Life Stadium. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. The Marlins, it's a big homestand. They are 8 over with a lot of momentum under Jack McKeon, and one big reason why, maybe the smallest guy on the roster, Emilio Bonifacio.
Rich, I think the one guy in the lineup and on the ball club that Jack has had such a tremendous influence on has been Emilio Bonifacio. And congratulations to Bonnie, player of the month in the National League, first in batting average. He really drew everybody's attention with that 26-game hitting streak. He led the league in runs scored. Hey, that's the object of a leadoff man. And he was first in stolen bases. Left-handed, right-handed. We saw patient at bats. We saw him put the ball in play. We saw a few bunt base hits. He was just terrific.
Now, if we were to project a player of the month for August, just look across the diamond at Albert Pujols, because he has owned August in his long and great career.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. This guy is so consistent. He has a lifetime batting average of over 300 in every month, yet August is his highest at 342. Here's a little note for you, though. He's off to a slow start this August, just 1 for 14. One more note, his lifetime average against the Marlins, 294, but he's hit 12 home runs against the Fish.
Well, we've got a pair of right-handers in our Metro PCS pitching matchup tonight. Clay Hensley was supposed to go last night in New York. Rain washed it out. Jack just moved everybody up a day. Hensley gets the start. Kyle Loesch is a strike thrower and having a good season for the Cardinals.
Strike thrower, he works quickly. You'll see some cutters, a breaking ball, some change-ups. Clay Hensley, a couple of outings out of the bullpen against the Cardinals earlier this year.
So there you have it. You ready for the Cardinals and the Marlins? It is Coast Guard night here at the ballpark. We'll celebrate that and the Marlins' involvement in a very important operation. Go down to Frank Ford. Frank?
All right, Rich, thanks very much. In fact, the 221st birthday of the Coast Guard today on Coast Guard night here at the stadium. When the Marlins made their first troop visit overseas some 18 months ago, some folks from the Miami Beach station were forward deployed over to Iraq, and the Marlins paid them a visit. Well, in the caravan during the offseason prior to this 2011 campaign, the Marlins went over to the Miami Beach station to once again visit some military personnel. The Coast Guard prides itself on being the only branch of the service to directly serve the citizens of the United States. The Marlins paid a visit to one of the busiest outposts, Coast Guard Station, Miami Beach, and it proved to be quite interesting and informative.
It's great because you're laying your life on the line out there, and you're getting hit every other day or so with missiles and stuff and things coming in. So to have the troops come out, the team come out to see the troops, it means a lot. It means a lot to the guys. They were talking about it for weeks to come, and the support that you guys have done to come over with the USO, come over to Iraq, and today here at Miami Beach is just wonderful. So we appreciate it.
That'll go about 32 knots with 2 people on board. We have a lot of people that come out and check out what we do in Coast Guard and for Miami. And being a big baseball fan, it's definitely good to have the Marlins, and I know the crew definitely enjoyed having them on board.
It was a great experience. My cousin used to be stationed down here, so it was kind of cool to be able to come out here and see what he did for a long time, and it's really I was glad I got picked to do this. It's an awesome experience.
Checking out the engine room and the captain's chair, what'd you like that?
I think I like being down more because it was a little shaky up there, and I feel like a wuss, but I was kind of getting sick just being docked, so I don't know how I would handle it out at sea, but it was cool to see the whole boat, definitely.
Yeah, it was a great visit, and Ryan Webb didn't quite get his sea legs, but he enjoyed taking a look at some of those high horsepower engines that they have in the Coast Guard. Again, some of those folks from the Miami Beach station were forward deployed over to Iraq, and that was the missiles that Captain Sinali was referring to. They were in a forward area and certainly in danger over there. But, of course, they do a great job here at the Miami Beach station for the U.S. Coast Guard. Coast Guard night here at the stadium. Clay Hensley and Kyle Loesch, your pitching matchup, a team we're very familiar with, the St. Louis Cardinals. Play them a ton in spring training, starting a 4-game series tonight. Rich Waltz and Tommy Huck with all the action coming up next.
Moving forward by AT&T. By all your cooling, today's comfort, yesterday's prices. And by Florida Power & Light, FPL is working to make its system stronger, smarter, cleaner, and even more efficient. Visit FPL.com to learn more. Ready for some baseball. A 4-game series starts tonight as the St. Louis Cardinals come in, having dropped 3 of their last 4, 58 and 53. And switch hitting shortstop Rafael Furcal, who is in his first week with the Cardinals, takes a strike. Furcal acquired from the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Cardinals wanted more range, better defense, maybe a little more speed, and they got all of those things with Furcal, a good bunter. He runs up and takes ball 1. It's 1-1.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They got themselves a veteran, a switch hitter, gives them a leadoff man, and certainly more range at short, and a nice career for Rafael Furcal to this point.
The job had been Ryan Terrio's for most of the season, but defensively, Terrio was not having a good year. He was having a good year offensively. Furcal takes outside. Terrio had made 16 errors at shortstop. Furcal, on the other hand, this year has made just 4. Swing and a miss. He hasn't played in as many games, but considered a great arm and a nice acquisition. Hensley, of course, a guy that has gone from the bullpen to the starting rotation. This just his 4th start since he was last a starter in the big leagues, all the way back in 2008.
And you saw those numbers as a starter, a nice ERA, opposing hitters as a starter hitting under 200. The only big hit mistake that he made was that 3-run homer that Uggla hit in the 7th inning in his last start in Atlanta.
3-2 coming. Ball's in the air. It's Bonifacio out there, and Emilio makes the catch. All right, let's meet the Cardinals. You know them from spring training. You know them from the National League Central. Warren Henry brings you their order. John Jay, the former Hurricane, is having a very good year. He's out in center field. Albert Pujols is at first. This trio is tough. Matt Holliday follows Pujols. Lance Berkman follows Holliday. David Freese is back in the lineup, and Freese is having a good year. Skip Schumacher at second. Gerald Laird is behind the plate, and Kyle Loesch hits 9th. Yadier Molina suspended today, 5 games by Major League Baseball. He's not appealing. He starts that suspension tonight. And there's a look at Jay, who's getting a lot of time in center now that Colby Rasmus has been dealt. And he fouls a pitch back.
With that middle of the order that you pointed out, Rich, I think it's really important in this series to do as much as you can to keep the top 2 guys off the bases. If you keep Furcal and Jay off the bases, then the big guys come up with nobody on.
Hensley misses outside. Jay performing for Tony La Russa. There's Dave Duncan, who's been by La Russa's side for all but one of his managerial seasons. This is his 33rd overall year as a big league manager, and Hensley misses out and runs the count to 3-1. Clay is 30, Pearland, Texas, Lamar University. Jay, much younger than that, just 26, Columbus High School here in Miami, and of course a 3-time All-American at the U at the University of Miami. 3-1 coming. Change up, and Hensley just missed inside, and Jay's aboard.
Take a look at the defense tonight for the Marlins. Rich mentioned it's a defense that's second in the National League in percentage. Dobbs gets the start at third base. Bonifacio moves over to short. John Buck behind the plate. And it's brought to you by Warren Henry.
Albert Pujols steps in. And for Albert, a solid year, not a spectacular year, but as we pointed out, August is usually his month. He'll put it in gear and finish strong. That's kind of been the history of Pujols. This is his 11th big league season. Hensley out in front of him, 0-1.
Well, we told you his career batting average in the month of August, and this is 11th year in the big leagues. His career average in August is .342.
Pujols pops it up. Buck back for a look, and that ball is out of play. Weather this weekend was a concern a few days ago, with the tropical storm headed at least a few days ago in this direction. All year cooling tells us that it's 89 degrees. Got 9 miles visibility just in case Albert gets a hold of one here. But the news is that this weekend the weather should be fine. It sounds like the tropical storm, thankfully, is headed out to sea. 0-2 pitch.
That one might be headed out to sea.
Yeah, that may test the visibility.
Away foul.
Counts 0-2. But it sounds, Tommy, like this weekend the weather should be fine. So we hope to see you out at the ballpark for the Marlins and the Cardinals Friday night, Saturday night, and a Sunday afternoon.
Always well-played games. The Marlins, with the 4-game series in St. Louis, split that series against the Cardinals.
Let's see what Hensley comes back with against Pujols. Here's his 0-2. This is down low. It is a teeth of a batting order that I don't know that you'll find anywhere else in baseball. Albert Pujols, Matt Holliday, and Lance Berkman. And it's Berkman right now that is leading the National League in home runs and leading the Cardinals in RBIs. 1-2. Just missed outside. You saw Hensley kind of glance in at Marty Foster. Buck set up out. Boy, that ball came back and caught the plate.
That's a strike. And it's Albert Pujols. He's probably going to get that call more so than other hitters. And right now, Marty Foster is making a mental note that Clay Hensley has a pitch that moves when it's out in that area. We'll see if count 2-2, even if it gets to 3-2 with one out, what La Russa does with Jay at first base. They don't steal a lot of bases. And Albert Pujols leads their club in hitting into double plays. He's hit into 24.
Jay has 5 stolen bases this year. The Cardinals, as you pointed out, they'll put it in motion, but they won't steal a lot. Hensley bounces one up there.
And I think they'll be in motion here. Pujols, as great a career as he's had, he's always been a guy who doesn't strike out a lot. 36 strikeouts, 37 walks on the year.
Since the 1st of July, the Cardinals have just 4 stolen bases. We'll see if Jay is on the move. Hensley from the stretch. Pujols ready. Runner goes. And it's taken outside. So Clay Hensley, a walk to Jay. He didn't get the pitch on the outside corner against Pujols. And it turns into back-to-back walks with one out.
Well, we're seeing Clay Hensley, and he certainly has time to turn this around, that we didn't see in Atlanta in his 7 innings. The reason he went 7 innings, he got ahead. He was around the strike zone. The first 3 hitters tonight have all had 3-ball counts. So too many pitches so far to the first 3 hitters.
You look up and down the statistical leaders in the National League, and it's highlighted with the St. Louis Cardinals. And Matt Holliday's name is up among all of the important statistics. Slugging percentage, he is 4th. On base percentage, he is 2nd. A strike to Holliday. With runners in scoring position, 364, 2nd. Holliday, of course, a longtime Colorado Rocky. His 3rd year in St. Louis. And he drills one. Left field. Deep. Gone. And the Cardinals have a 3-0 lead just like that. 17th of the season for Holliday.
You just can't walk guys with this lineup. And to walk the previous 2 hitters, Jay and Pujols, it just sets the stage for a guy who is just a tremendous hitter in these situations. Home run number 17 on the year for Holliday. A laser shot, a line drive that just was able to sneak over the wall.
So Holliday has homered. And here is Berkman. And in a season where the Cardinals for a time had lost Pujols, for a time had lost Holliday, Berkman has been the constant, and he has been fantastic. A 1-year contract. Berkman pops it up. Bonifacio and Dobbs, and it's Dobbs who lines it up and makes the catch. So Hensley has a couple of outs, but the 2 walks and the bomb by Matt Holliday have the Fish in a 3-0 hole, and here comes David Freese.
Now remember, it was later on in the game. It was in the 7th inning. But a 3-run bomb by Dan Uggla was his undoing in Atlanta.
David Freese has missed a significant amount of time this year with a broken hand. Cardinals obviously have had their injuries to overcome, just like the Marlins have had. The Cardinals losing an ace in spring training and Adam Wainwright. The Marlins losing Josh Johnson. Freese takes outside. It's 1-1.
Tell you another thing, Rich, about Hensley. One of his outings in St. Louis, another 3-run homer did him in. It was hit by Daniel Descalso.
Kyle Loesch sitting next to Holliday, the beneficiary. Loesch getting the start tonight against Hensley. Big breaking ball, and he strikes out Freese. But Matt Holliday strikes again. A 3-run shot to left. A pair of walks and a 3-run homer. First against Kyle Loesch with this lineup right at 500 at 55 and 55. Player of the month, Emilio Bonifacio, followed by Red Hot Omar Infante. Greg Dobbs hits third with Hanley Ramirez out of the lineup. Gabby Sanchez in the cleanup spot. Logan Morrison fifth. Mike Stanton sixth. Mike Cameron gets the start in center. John Buck hits eighth, and Clay Hensley in the 9 spot. And here's Bonifacio against Kyle Loesch. And Loesch catches a corner for strike 1.
Third baseman David Freese really guarding for a bunt. He's 4 or 5 steps in on the grass. Good road pitcher is Kyle Loesch. 6 of his wins away from New Busch Stadium.
Good road pitcher, good control pitcher. He does not walk many at all. 21 starts, 27 walks. Bonifacio slices it left center field. That's going to the wall. And Bonifacio around second will stop there with a leadoff double. Player of the month in the National League in July, and a nice start to August with a double here in the first.
Well, how about a 26-game hitting streak? He got stopped, and now he has a 5-game hitting streak. Boy, this is just vintage, the way he's hit the ball for the last month and a half. It's our checkers double of the game. Well struck by Bonifacio. He's now hit in 31 of his last 32 games.
Amazing. Here's Omar Infante, and his average is up to 274, coming off a terrific road trip. A road trip in which the Marlins were 6-2. And in those 8 games, Infante had 14 hits. Takes outside. It's 1-0. There are his road trip numbers. And the 2 home runs he hit in the same game in New York, he had gone 144 games up to that game and had a total of 2 homers in 144 games. And he drives it into right center field. That's a base hit. Bonifacio will score. Infante on his way to second, and he's got a double. And the Marlins answer with back-to-back doubles. It's 3-1.
It's something that you really like to see, and especially returning home where the club hasn't played as well. All right, we give up the 3-run homer, but the Marlins have come right back with back-to-back doubles, each hitter going the other way. Infante into right center, and also knowing the arm of John Jay, the center fielder. It's just average at best. So once he got that ball into the gap and rounded first base, he knew he was going to make it to second.
Infante's average post All-Star break is around 390. And now here's Dobbs. Dobbs in the lineup with Hanley Ramirez out. Dobbs hitting third, playing third, and he pops the first pitch up. Calling for it is Freeze, and that's a big out for Loesch to get. And he goes Infante still at second with 1 down.
Check on that Cardinal defense, brought to you by Warren Henry with Holiday, Jay, and Berkman in the outfield. David Freeze, they're happy to have him back, and also happy to have Percal at short. Skip Schumacher at second base. Albert Poole also first baseman. Rich mentioning Yadier Molina is going to serve his 5-game suspension, so Gerald Laird behind the plate.
Gabby Sanchez slides into the cleanup spot with Hanley Ramirez out at least for another day and probably the next few days. That shoulder's still very sore, a sprain, and the Marlins are hopeful that within 2 or 3 days Hanley is able to return. 0-1 coming to Gabby Sanchez. Loesch misses inside. Gabby homered against Loesch earlier this year. It was on May 2nd. The Marlins won the ballgame 6-5. Loesch got a no decision, but the Fish put up 5 runs in 6 innings. Gabby homered and Mike Stanton homered. Check swing at a breaking ball. Did not go around.
Well, I tell you, I'm just going over the at-bat of Greg Dobbs. There's that home run that Gabby Sanchez hit. Grand slam into the bullpen.
Infante at second, 2-1.
And a bat just uncharacteristic of Dobbs. First pitch swinging, we usually see him more patient. Not at least pulling a ball and getting Infante to third. But you know what? It happens.
And now it's 2-2. Infante has a good sized lead. Loesch the 2-2. Same pitch, and this time Gabby got a piece of it. Tommy, both defenses in this series are going to be challenged by the playing conditions. Tony La Russa and the Cardinals, Jack McKeon and the Marlins, when they showed up today, they saw a field that has undergone 2 transformations over the last 48 hours.
Look at those seams out in front of the plate.
When you have seams on an infield grass, that's never good news for infielders. And you've got to tip your cap to the grounds crew here. They have had to do the absolute impossible. From a Dolphins scrimmage to a soccer match last night to a Major League Baseball game. Gabby walks, that's out, and he's aboard. And here comes Logan Morrison.
Yeah, these guys on the ground crew were out 36 hours all night last night trying to get this as good as it can be. And as you said, Rich, it's the same. It's not great conditions, but it's the same for both clubs.
There were 70,000 here for that soccer match last night. And the twist in it is that the Dolphins wanted to practice with the dirt, not with grass over it, but the soccer match necessitated putting grass over the dirt and then pulling that up last night and getting the field ready for baseball today. Here's Morrison now. And Loesch, a low strike to Morrison, and it's 0-1. Morrison climbs back in. Loesch, one of the best control pitchers in the National League. So the walk to Gabby, pretty uncommon. It's 1-1, and those 25 numbers can't come off the wall too soon.
When you can control what you have take place on the field.
One ball, one strike to Morrison. Couple runners aboard, a run across. Fastball up and in.
Take a look at the scouting report on Kyle Loesch, brought to you by Coventry Healthcare. Good life on the fastball. It's not an overpowering fastball, but it's a good life. He has a nice tilting slider, and he is a competitor out there on the mound.
Fourth fewest walks per 9 innings in the National League. Tied with Cole Hamels. 2-1. And he misses outside. Roy Halladay leads that category in the National League. Then you got Jordan Zimmerman, Jeff Karstens of Pittsburgh, Hamels and Loesch tied for 4th. Mike Stanton looming on deck with a 3-1 count to Logan Morrison.
Let's see if Lomo gets himself a good pitch and really zeroes in on a zone. A nice pitch for him to handle.
Matt Holliday with a 3-run homer in the top of the 1st. The Marlins have answered with a run. Here's a 3-1. And that catches the corner.
3-1 changeup. It's a little respect to Logan Morrison.
Well, remember the pitch that was called a ball?
Yeah, he's been hearing it. Home plate umpire Marty Foster's been hearing it from the bench, too.
There was a pitch that should have been strike 3 against Pujols that was further in the strike zone. That just off the edge.
Well, Logan Morrison, not Albert Pujols. Maybe in 10 years, we'll see.
Well, they went to the same junior college, Tommy. Here's the 3-2. Morrison drives that ball to center, deep, and over the head of Jay. Off the wall it goes. Infante will score. Here comes Gabby. He's going to score. It's a tie game.
Just like that, it's a tie game. Some great at-bats. Good base running, too, by Gabby Sanchez and Omar Infante. They each summed up that line drive and said that's going to get over Jay's head. And they were off and running. Forget about the pitch before. Look at that pitch. Off the plate. That's a good pitch, too. And Lomo just attacks it and stings it over the head of John Jay. Watch the runners. Both of them. They realize that ball's going to be over the head of Jay. Gabby played college ball with him. He knows the kind of ground he covers out there. And it's a tie game.
Maple Woods Community College. That's where Logan Morrison played, and when he was a player, Albert Pujols, by then a big league star, came back to talk to the players there because that's where Pujols played his junior college ball after moving to the United States as a youngster. So Morrison with a big hit, and now here's Stanton. There's still only one out. Loesch misses outside. Well, you saw the Gabby Sanchez grand slam against Loesch. Same game up to Big Mac land. Stanton swings and misses.
In that series against the Mets, I thought Mike did a real good job of laying off that pitch. That slider just off the plate.
One, and that's out. One guy that has watched Stanton in spring training, and we had a long talk with Mark McGuire about not only Stanton but hitting in general when we were in St. Louis. Cardinal hitting coach who is not getting enough credit for what the Cardinals are accomplishing this year. That's a good pitch by Loesch. I mean, this is a team that leads in on-base percentage, in batting average, in runs scored. It's great to have Berkman, Holliday, and Pujols, but remember, Pujols and Holliday both have had injury spells this year. And Berkman is a guy that has kind of been rehabilitated as a hitter this year.
Yeah, a lot of people thought maybe his career was on the downswing with the year he had last year. Finished with the Yankees, did not hit well as a Yankee. Just .255 and 1 home run in his 37 games in pinstripes.
See what he gets. 3-2 now. Fouls it back. Well, the Marlins have done something that not a lot of teams do to Kyle Lohse, and that's push his pitch count. Lohse averages just 14 pitches an inning, second fewest in the National League. And he's thrown 25. 3-2 coming. Stanton, a sharp ground ball left field, base hit. Here comes Morrison. Stop sign is up. Morrison stops at third base. Joe Espada had the sign up. The grass is razor thin. It is the fastest natural surface in baseball. Although Holiday was deep.
Yeah, most other hitters, a little surprised that Joe didn't send it. Most other hitters don't hit the ball this hard, so it doesn't get to Holiday as quick as this one does. And the reason I say I'm a little surprised, Joe's very aggressive, third base coach, and I think he does a terrific job. But with the bumpiness and all the stuff out in the outfield, it's going to be tough for an outfielder to charge a ball off to his side and come up with a good throw.
So now big at bat for Mike Cameron with Stanton at first, Morrison at third, and a strike from Lohse. It's a great point, Tommy, because Holiday is actually standing where the bleachers were sitting less than 24 hours ago.
As an outfielder, you're going to have to be a little more tentative charging a ball because you don't want it to get by you.
Cameron, a liner, diving stop by Furcal.
Well, that's just pure bad luck. And also, we talked about that range that the Cardinals have improved themselves in at short with the acquisition of Furcal. Great range, quickness, and just pulls one out of the air and robs Mike Cameron and robs the Marlins of going ahead.
Furcal made a game-saving catch on Tuesday night in a win over the Brewers. And so John Buck climbs in. Lohse bounces one at the plate. John Buck has not had a great run against Kyle Lohse. Though there is season numbers, and he is 3 for 10 against the Cardinals. But Buck, when he was in Kansas City, and Lohse when he was in Minnesota, they saw each other a lot. Buck is 1 for 17 against Lohse. He's got the pitcher on deck, Hensley. He misses high, and it's 2-0. Morrison a big 2-run double, Stanton a single. With a 2-0 coming.
You think about some of the balls that have been hit this inning. The 3 doubles have been hit on the nose. The single by Stanton and the line drive out hit by Mike Cameron.
John Buck, a quick glance back to Marty Foster. Hensley waiting on deck. Lohse with his 2-1. And that dips low, and it's 3-1. Is Lohse essentially pitching carefully to Buck because there's an open base at second?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think John Buck's going to see a real cookie here, 3-1.
This will be pitch number 33. It's up. And so now Hensley comes up. And of course, Clay, who spent last year as a reliever, spent the 2 previous seasons rehabbing from labrum surgery, is 1 for 1 in his career against Kyle Lohse.
Clay can say he owns Kyle Lohse.
Hensley is an outstanding athlete. We told you he didn't pitch in high school. He was a center fielder and a high hurdler. Loesch from the windup. Bags loaded. 2 outs in the first. That's up. The Marlins have forced Loesch to do 2 things that he hasn't done all season long. And that's walk 2 hitters, 4th fewest allowed per 9 innings in the National League, and his pitch count is in the mid-30s. Hensley, a fly ball left center field. Back goes Jay, and he's got room, and he's got the ball. So the Marlins draw even, and they leave him loaded. Big hit by Logan Morrison. Bonifacio starts it. Infante backs him up. And then Logan Morrison ties it up. Into U.S. Armed Forces serving in 175 countries and aboard ships at sea. They're watching around the world in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. And of course, Logan Morrison lost his father, who was a lifelong member of the Coast Guard in the off-season. He came up with his Coast Guard salute. And as a special treat, not only to those of you that serve in the Coast Guard, but just those of you that like Logan Morrison and the Marlins. On Marlins Live after the ball game, we'll have all of Logan Morrison's home runs and all of his Coast Guard salutes set to music.
And what is there not to like about Logan Morrison? Important innings, obviously, for both pitchers. Clay Hensley, and then when Kyle Loesch comes back, too.
Bottom third of the order, Skip Schumacher, Gerald Laird, and Loesch. Up the middle, Infante handles it. 2 very different innings for the pitchers. Hensley walked a couple, gave up a 3-run homer, and the Marlins knocked Loesch all over the place. Looked like they were going to score more than the 3 that they got. Braves are in town Monday through Wednesday. All 3 games are at 7:10. You can save money and take advantage of the Subway Monday and the Miami Herald 2 for Tuesday ticket offers. 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com. Yeah, Dan Uggla just keeps on hitting. Here is Gerald Laird now.
The difference, by the way, Rich, in the 2 pitchers. To regroup and get himself back together, Clay Hensley has the bottom third of the order. Because the Marlins hit around, Loesch will have to start all over again with Bonifacio.
Two-0 pitch. Out to short. Bonifacio throws him out. Well, the series in Milwaukee, from which the Cardinals just came, was a heated one, and that's putting it mildly. And things boiled over on Tuesday with a pitch that was in. Rob Drake called it strike 3, and Molina not only bumped him, but apparently some spittle during his outburst got Drake in the face.
A couple of things. First of all, I accept the fact that Molina just went ahead and took the punishment. He's going to mess around with appealing and all that. He's taken the 5 games and that's it. Secondly, I really like the way Rob Drake handled that. He wasn't combative. He tried to back away. Molina kept coming after him. I don't think Molina spit on him. I think just in his speaking and talking and sweat and spit him, all that came out. But
yeah, it was not a Robbie Alomar moment. Right. He didn't load up and then unload.
But I liked the way that Rob Drake handled it.
And so the Marlins won't see one of the premier catchers in the game in this 4-game series. Kyle Loesch is up. Hensley throws a strike. And it's 3-1. And he lost them. So Hensley walks the pitcher, and up comes for call.
And that's a tough one. That's one where you have a chance to get it back together, have that quick 1-2-3 inning, and he lost the pitcher. Cardinals, Rich, have kind of been a team since the All-Star break, just kind of treading water. They're 9-10 since the break. They're battling it out with Milwaukee.
They were 13-13 in July.
Yeah.
Last year, 86-76, 5 games back of the Reds. John Buck trying to settle Hensley down.
How about the Reds? They lost last night or yesterday 5-4 to Houston. Randy St. Clair is going to chat with Clay Hensley. Dontrell Willis went 6 innings, gave up 8 hits, just 2 runs. They left him in to hit in the 7th, and he hit a home run to put himself and the club ahead 3-2. Unfortunately, the bullpen gave up the lead, and he got a no decision. But good to see Dontrell back, pitching well and hitting the way we know he can.
You've got the Cardinals now who are 3.5 back. Pittsburgh is back under 500, 6.5 back. And the Reds are 7.5 back. And a soft basement for sure in the Central with the Cubs and the Astros. Hensley trying to regroup here. And he misses high. And so this not feeling so good for Clay Hensley tonight.
Most everywhere, every pitch that he's missed with tonight has been up.
And he gets bailed out on a 2-0 swing. Morrison calls Bonifacio off and makes the catch. Hensley storms off the mound. We apologize in both languages. Jammers live and work during their 76-game season. They make the transition to professional baseball. It's after tomorrow night's game inside the Marlins. Kyle Loesch back to the top of the order. Bonifacio doubled in his first at bat. Loesch misses away. As Tommy pointed out, Bonifacio had his hit streak snapped, but he started a new one. He's now at 5 games.
The 3 doubles in that first inning, too, were all hit to the opposite field.
This is this is an odd night for Loesch. You see Infante waiting on deck. Loesch walked 2 in that first inning. He's closing in already on 40 pitches. That one catches the corner. Chico, California, Butte Junior College.
A few changes in the bullpen for the Cardinals since we last saw them.
That was kind of their emphasis at the trading deadline, wasn't it? The Colby Rasmus trade, they got some arms in return. They got a starter, Edwin Jackson. They got Mark Zepchinski and Octavio Dotel for their pen. And Jackson's arrival allowed them to slide Kyle McClellan, a right-hander, into their pen.
Who's had success against lefties, so that is really a good move for them. A tough guy to get rid of. Colby Rasmus, a good young player.
Bonifacio lines that to right center. Jay is there, and he makes the catch. So Kyle Loesch has an out, and here comes Omar Infante. Limited schedule in both the American and National League tonight. Cubs have a 2-0 lead over the Pirates. It premieres tomorrow, right?
Every time I look up at the top of the stadium, I keep picturing that ad.
Yeah.
I don't see anything.
It was filmed here, actually, at Sun Life Stadium, with the apes that appear at the top of the stadium. Infante, RBI double in the first. 1 ball and 1 strike. Loesch with a big breaking ball, and that's a strike. I think you could chalk Kyle Loesch up to, I guess, the column of Dave Duncan reclamation projects, guys that have flourished when coming under Dave Duncan's work. That one is tattooed into the corner. That's a fair ball, and Omar Infante is going to spontaneously combust here any moment.
And I think you can say Omar Infante possibly has flourished under the work of Eduardo Perez.
No kidding.
Wow.
He's closing in on 400 since the All-Star break.
Everything he hits is hard. He's staying on pitches. He's hitting balls the other way. When he gets a pitch he can pull, as he did there, he sends it down the left field line.
There's Eduardo. Now, Tommy, you pointed out the at-bat for Dobbs, very unlike him in the first inning.
Yeah, we'll see if he has a different approach here. With 1 out, a little different scenario. Not thinking of pulling the ball to getting the runner over to third.
He popped the first pitch he saw up in the first. That was after back-to-back doubles by Bonifacio and Infante. The good news was his teammates picked him up. Behind him, Gabby Sanchez walked. Logan Morrison then drove in the 2 runs with a double to left center field. Dobbs takes a fastball. Cardinal bullpen was used up pretty good in that Milwaukee series. So Tony La Russa won't be too anxious to have to dip into it early in this one. Catches the corner. It's 2-1. Boy, it's now 4-0 Cubs over Pittsburgh. Pena, Soto, and DeWitt have all homered.
Cubs are trying to sweep a 4-game series.
And the Pirates are spiraling. Pirates have lost 6 in a row. Dobbs off the glove of Loesch for call. And Dobbs beats it out, and Fonte's at third.
Base hit for Greg Dobbs. It was almost caught by Loesch. Let's see what this ball gets. It gets off his glove. He's able to turn around a little bit and get a glove on it, but it slowed it up enough that he wasn't able to make the play. Watch Fonte. He stays. Now he sees where the ball is. Good reactions, and gets over to third base.
Gabby Sanchez, who walked in the first, at the corners, 1 out. Big breaking ball for a strike. We set it up from the outset of the telecast that Kyle Loesch is one of the most economical pitchers in all of baseball. And here he is, 51 pitches deep, and he's got 1 out in the top of the second inning.
This goes to show you it doesn't always work the way we set it up. Talking about Gabby and the job he's done at driving in runs. Gabby has 60 RBIs. 17 out of 33, a little over 50%. I think Gabby'd like to be a little better than that, but good job getting that runner in from third, less than 2 out.
There's a grounder. Schumacher for Call's turn is in time. And the Cardinals get a big double play, 4-6-3. Just one. That was a 3-run homer by Matt Holliday. Our Toyota trend. Only the Brewers have a winning record versus the East out of the Central. The Cardinals are 10-11, 2-2 against the Marlins in that 4-game series, which the team split in St. Louis earlier this season. John Jay, Albert Pujols, Matt Holliday now. And this is where Hensley ran into trouble in the first. He got for Call to open the inning. He walked Jay, he walked Pujols, and Holliday hit a line drive over the wall in left field. Jay to center. Cameron in, dives. Did he get it? Yeah, Mike Cameron. Difficult play. Cameron sized it up and then went for it.
You can't imagine how difficult this play is. It has that knuckling effect, the type of ball it was hit. since it's coming right at you as a center fielder, you have to kind of play it off the side of your body, get a little better angle. Cameron does all of that. Great jump, and it looks great in Fox mode.
And you think about it, in this ballpark, with Jay running, if he misjudges that ball and it gets by him, it's at least 3. Pujols lines it into left field. That's a base hit. Morrison picks it up. And so Albert, who was walked in the first, is aboard, and now Hensley has to face Matt Holliday again. Of all the Cardinals, Holliday has the most experience against Clay Hensley, and that was because Holliday resided in the National League West the same time that Hensley did. Holliday in Colorado, Hensley in San Diego. 26 at bats, 9 hits. So he's about 330 against him. That was his first home run.
Well, the other thing, Matt Holliday over 360 against the Marlins with 12 home runs against the Fish. That one there, number 12.
Our Coors light cold hard blast. Hensley goes up and gets a strike. It's 1-1.
We talk often, and we get to see Holliday in the spring and watch him prepare. But he's one of those guys, he has a game face on all the time. He grinds at the plate. He has aggressive swings.
Seemingly a polished hitter when he stepped into the big leagues.
No, he had some incredible years with the Rockies, and I think he's proved to a lot of people that he can put up good numbers somewhere else too, and he has as a Cardinal.
His dad, Tom, a college coach at Oklahoma State, North Carolina. Runner goes, foul back. In fact, his dad played his college ball at Miami.
Good thing he fouled that back. You have to really keep your eye on Pujols. We talked about the Cardinals. They don't run a lot, but a guy like Albert Pujols, over his long career, he'll get you 8 to 10 stolen bases a year, and mostly by surprise. He got a great jump there. Six for 6 in stolen base attempts this year. Closing in on 200 home runs.
He's won 4 Silver Slugger awards. Pujols not running, and Hensley hits him. So neither pitcher has much control tonight. And a frustrated Jack McKeon.
Look at every pitch. He's trying to go in, stay in, and that one just went in a little too far, and Holliday couldn't get out of the way. So up and in is the way he was trying to pitch Holliday. Boy, look at that.
Right off the tattoo. Now Berkman, who popped out his first time up. And Berkman takes down low. He said earlier that Holliday's name is atop and around the top of a lot of big categories in the National League. Berkman's usually right next to him. Ground ball into right field. That's a base hit. Stanton, runner will be held. Pujols came halfway and stopped as Mike Stanton uncorked another great throw from right field.
Well, Jose Oquendo obviously was watching highlights the other night and saw Stanton throw out Jose Reyes. And he said, Albert, you are not Jose Reyes. You are not going. But it looked like Albert almost was going to run through that sign. Here goes Pujols. See, he's looking really at Stanton and not at Oquendo, and Pujols was the one who made the wise choice.
Randy St. Clair's on his way out to the mound, and the Marlins bullpen is starting to scramble right now because Jack McKeon has a sense, and I think everybody in the ballpark and probably all of you watching at home has a sense that Clay Hensley just doesn't have it tonight.
Now, of his previous 3 starts, it's been a different story. The 2 5-inning starts against the Mets, yeah, and you're right. Burke Badenhop gets loose. And then his 7 innings, even after he gave up that 3-run homer to Uggla in Atlanta, he retired the next 3 hitters. He got through that 7th inning, but a different Clay Hensley tonight.
Remember, Kyle Loesch in the bottom of the 2nd got out of the inning with a double play ball, and the Marlins had runners at the corners. Here, the Cardinals have them loaded with 1 out in the top of the 3rd, and Freese, who struck out his first time up, takes a strike. Infield's back. And Hensley he's
all over the place.
Almost got Freese.
Even that first inning, and we talked about it a little in the 2nd inning. When he missed, he walked Loesch in that 2nd inning. All the pitches he missed with were up.
Murderer's Row is on base. Pujols, Holiday, and Berkman. 1-1. And it's 1-2.
He's actually had better command of that pitch than of the fastball tonight.
Strikeout here would be enormous. A ground ball here for the Marlins might get him out of the inning. The 1-2. Check swing. Did he go? Buck will smother it. No swing, says the first base umpire, Paul Schreiber. All the while, Pujols was watching to see if the ball got away from John Buck. Wow, that's close.
Good job. Buck just shifts over, and look at him stop this ball with that chest protector. Just gets his body in front of it to keep the ball in front of him.
Now it's 2-2. Ran that pitch in. Boy, combined, these two pitchers have thrown 108 pitches. And here we are with 1 out in the top of the 3rd inning. Two-two. One of the reasons yesterday that Tony La Russa left Edwin Jackson in to absorb 7 innings, 14 hits, and 10 runs. Rybczynski came in and pitched the final inning in the 10-5 loss to Milwaukee. He needed to give his bullpen a break. Another 2-2 pitch. Freese doesn't bite. Buck on his way to the mound. And for Clay Hensley, a pivotal moment. A scatter shot look at Fox Tracks.
Hensley has had 5 3-ball counts. Loesch has had 4.
Badenhop is ready. Hensley trying to keep Jack McKeon in the dugout. 3-2. Fastball off his foot. And we'll do it again at 3-2.
We talked about how Hensley was drafted and signed by the Giants in 2002, and then he was traded to the Padres for Matt Herges in 2003.
Freese was traded from the Padres, so these two guys were teammates. That was back in 2008. That hit his helmet, and Hensley headed to the plate to check on his former teammate, and a lot of concern, obviously,
for a guy who's been oft injured. Last year, David Freese was on the disabled list for a good part of the year with a real bad ankle, right ankle. This year, he spent time on the disabled list with wrist injury, broken wrist, broken finger.
Obviously, with the bases loaded in a 3-2 pitch, Hensley is not trying to throw at David Freese.
And as a hitter, the last thing you're thinking is anything going to be close or up and in. But once again, we told you everything that Clay has missed with has been up, well out of the strike zone.
Barry Weinberg, the longtime trainer, not only for the Cardinals, but also for the Athletics when La Russa was in Oakland, is out to look at Freese.
He's been with La Russa maybe as long as Duncan.
Well, right now, if you're Hensley, I guess if you're Jack McKeon, do you come get Hensley after he just...
I think you do.
Just hit a guy?
I think you do. I think he's all over the place. Right now, he's not in a good frame of mind after just hitting a hitter on a 3-2 pitch in the head. And certainly, the Hoppers had plenty of time to get loose. So pinch runner is going to be Daniel Descalso, and here comes Jack. And not a surprise.
So Hensley hits a pair, and St. Louis has taken a 4-3 lead. Clay Hensley's night is done. Burke Badenhop comes trotting out of the bullpen. And so we'll head to this timeout, brought to you by Maroney. Freese on a 3-2 pitch with the bases loaded in the helmet. Daniel Descalso comes into the ballgame. He's going to run it first. And, of course, Burke Badenhop takes over for Hensley now. Descalso, who has seen a lot of time and has played well this year, now is sort of back into that super utility role with Freese back and for Call getting the time at short. And now it's Badenhop's job to get this inning under control in a 4-3 game with still a lot of baseball to be played. Schumacher bounced to second his first time up. Infante and Bonifacio look for a ground ball. Dobbs is in at third.
Not an easy guy to walk, not an easy guy to strike out is Skip Schumacher.
Badenhop with the count 1-1. Got Gerald Laird on deck. And Badenhop gets the corner. It's 1-2. A generous corner on pitch number 3. There's a ground ball. Infante can't get it. He dives. It's off his glove. Up with the ball is Stanton. 2 runs come across. Infante may be hurt. It looked like he kind of stuck when he dove for the ball.
Well, we talked about what both teams are going to have to deal with. There's a seam. And then as he makes a dive, it hit his hand. It hit the bare hand as he was trying to make the catch. And that's what he's being attended to right now. Mike Kozak out. It's ruled a double because the ball hit that hand and then scooted into shallow right field. Schumacher able to get to second base. So double and 2 RBIs. And a strange inning.
What a messy and strange inning.
Keep in mind, it's the throwing hand of Omar Infante. So he's got to make sure he can get a grip on the ball. Hard to tell from this angle. Initially, it looked like it hit his glove, but it actually hit his right hand, his throwing hand.
So Badenhop came in and got a ground ball.
It's really a shame that 2 major league teams have to play as well as the grounds crew has done to prepare this field, have to play on a field that has all the seams and all the stuff going on with it.
Marlins are going to walk Gerald Laird intentionally. Loesch is on deck.
Yeah, it's interesting playing a Cardinal team and not seeing the hitter or the pitcher hitting 8th. And we've noticed that, well, there have been a few games that Freddie Gonzalez, we may see it when the Braves come to town, he's been utilizing Bourne since they acquired Bourne at the leadoff spot. And a few games he hit Constanza, who has all that speed. He's been hitting him in the 9th spot, and so he hit the pitcher 8th.
A lot of times for Tony La Russa, he had hit the pitcher 8th to get Albert Pujols some more at bats with runners in scoring position. But I think with Holiday healthy, Berkman healthy, and of course Pujols in there as well, there's not as much of a need to do that.
And Freddie's doing it for speed, back-to-back speed on Stanza and Bourne.
Here's Loesch now. Badenhop with a strike. If the 2 walks in the first inning were not a signal that something was wrong with Clay Hensley, the walk to Loesch with 2 outs in the second sent the alarms going in the Marlins dugout. And in the third, Hensley hitting a pair of batters, and the Cardinals have rebuilt their 3-run lead.
Clay Hensley will have to regroup and get ready for his next start, which will be against those Atlanta Braves.
0-2. At the top of the order on deck, Rafael Furcal. Badenhop's breaking ball is a beauty, and he gets the strikeout. Loesch is actually arguing with the home plate umpire right now, Artie Foster.
That's not a good thing for a pitcher to do, because he's going to want that. He's gotten some himself.
Well, Why is he arguing? That would be the question.
That's a perfect strike. Yeah, that's not a good idea.
Now for call. Lots of speed. Badenhop gets a strike. Lines it foul, and Badenhop's out in front 0-2.
The one thing about the Hopper, generally, when he comes in to pitch, he comes in throwing strikes.
He got the ground ball, the ball that hit the bare hand of Infante. That drove in 2 runs. After walking Laird, he struck out Loesch. He's 0-2 on for call. And Buck smothers it. It's 1-2. The Marlins going to their bullpen much sooner than they anticipated. The good news is, if there is a silver lining, last night the Marlins didn't play, and so the bullpen is very fresh. Just missed. 2-2.
And even the night before, Javi Vasquez in his 7 innings.
For call, little tapper. That's trouble. Badenhop got him. Wow. And Badenhop double clutch, stayed with it, and got him by less than a step. The Cardinals put 3 on the board and lead it 6-3. In the bottom of the third, let's check in with Allison Williams.
Rich, we all know how popular Logan Morrison is on Twitter. He has over 56,000 fans, and I'm surrounded by about 342 of them who all got free tickets from Logan Morrison via Twitter. As you can tell, they're pretty excited. He tweeted at 5 o'clock today that whoever replied to him with their @name, their full name, and the number of tickets, he would leave free tickets for. So they all responded here. Lewis is one of them. Lewis, what did you think when you saw Lomo's Twitter?
I just think it's pretty cool that he randomly gave away free tickets to people he doesn't even know. It's just a nice thing to do.
A very nice thing to do. Ray, what did you do when you found out that Lomo was going to leave you free tickets?
Well, make a long story short, I have family from California, and I didn't think much of it, so I tweeted him real quick, asking him if he could hook it up with 6 tickets, and he actually did. Yeah,
6 tickets for Ray. Lewis got 5. Alfredo, you brought your family out here, right?
My 2 sons, my wife, we got 4 tickets. I was one of the first ones I saw it, and he replied right back, they're at will call, so go get them.
What do you think it says about Logan Morrison that he would do something like that for his fans?
Upstanding guy. There's not much to say. He's an upstanding guy, and it's amazing he gets so much stuff on his Twitter account from all the other haters. And every time I can, I defend him. Every time he retweets something, because he's such a cool guy.
Great guy. 300, and he gets a hit, which they love even more. He said on Twitter he wanted to hear them tonight. They're making lots and lots of noise for him. And hey, good news, Twitter followers. He says he'll do it again. What do you guys want to say to Lomo?
Thank you, Lomo!
Happy and appreciative bunch, guys.
Yeah, Logan Morrison 2 for 2 in this ball game as he singles into center field.
How well timed was that piece by Allison right there in the midst of Lomo fans, and he drills a single, his second hit of the night.
Well, the Marlins were down 3-0 from the very start of this one. They tied it. Now they're down 6-3. Kyle Loesch with Daniel Descalso at third base. If you just joined us, David Freese hitting the head with the bases loaded and had to leave the game. So Descalso is at third.
And now you wonder how long Tony La Russa will go with Loesch.
His next pitch will be number 60. Stanton singled to left back in the first. 2-0 coming. Mike drives that to center. That's a BB. Jay, a sliding catch. Can't hit it much harder than that. And so with one out, here comes Mike Cameron. Family Sunday coming up on the 7th, 1:10. Marlins wrap up their series against the Cardinals. Fans can take a photo with the Marlins player at the strike zone pregame, and kids can run the bases after the game in the Diamond Dash, 1-877-MARLINS, or go to marlins.com. Cameron, center field, deep. Jay in the triangle makes the catch.
How about the 2 balls Mike Cameron's hit tonight? Hit that line drive that Furcal made a diving catch on, and then sends Jay into the triangle out there. One thing about Loesch, he's gotten some outs, but he's not fooled anybody tonight. It's the wrong place of the ballpark.
So with 2 outs, here's John Buck. He walked back in the first.
It's an interesting outfield. There's an old term, and you look at the Cardinal outfield, they play everybody deep and cut across. I mean, Holiday's a step or two from the warning track. Jay is deep, and Berkman is deep.
It's a fast track. More so after the soccer match last night. That's one of the things that will change in the new ballpark. The Marlins will be able to grow the grass a little longer,
and there'll be a little consistency.
Two and one. Badenhop has a bat, and he's on deck. So it's 2-2. A bullpen game from here on out for the Fish. Loesch. There are a few Cardinal relievers who aren't throwing but are in the process of starting to stretch.
They know the drill.
And that was the importance of Edwin Jackson soaking up all those runs in 7 innings yesterday in Milwaukee.
Interesting debut for a guy making his debut as a Cardinal, a veteran pitcher. But to have a game like that.
He's made a few debuts in his time.
Yeah.
Been traded a lot. 3-2. It's outside. And now Badenhop comes to play. Our poll question has an interesting twist to it, Tommy Hutton, and you're involved in it. All right. 789-789, Tickets of America poll question. Which of John Buck's catcher's masks would you prefer to have auctioned off? Would you like the home mask, which is black, or the road mask, which is silver? Now, the mask that you choose tonight, the road mask and the home mask, the mask that you choose tonight will be auctioned off at a silent auction, and you can come. It's at the Tommy Bahama location.
I'll be there.
On Las Olas Boulevard on Sunday from 5:30 to 7. John Buck will be there with his mask. That's a tough call on Badenhop, a breaking ball. That
Yeah, how can he start the pitcher? That's a tough pitch. It's the last thing Hopper was looking for. Hopper's saying, give me the heat.
Here's the 0-1 pitch.
Kyle McClellan, by the way, starting to loosen up.
So Sunday night, the Tommy Bahama location on Las Olas Boulevard, there's a reception there with appetizers. 10% of all the sales on Saturday and Sunday go to the Marlins Community Foundation. And there will be 4 Marlin players there that you can meet and greet. John Buck is one. Logan Morrison is another. Emilio Bonifacio will be there. And ladies, Brian Peterson will be there. So that's your lineup for Sunday on Las Olas Boulevard.
I thought you were going to say, Rich, and ladies, Rich and I will be there.
No. It's the Tommy Bahama location on Las Olas.
But you and I will be there.
5:30 to 7 o'clock on Sunday night. Here's the 2-2. Badenhop, a little tapper, and it's foul. Here's the event, Tommy. Now, Saturday and Sunday, Tommy Bahama is donating 10% of all the sales at their 2 Las Olas locations. And then from 3 to 7, there will be appetizers, live music, beverages, and all that. And it's open to the public. The Marlins obviously are playing a ball game, so the players will arrive right around 5:30, and they'll be there till closing at 7 o'clock. And there will be some silent auction items, including the John Buck helmet, the one that you vote on tonight. Badenhop lines that one foul. It's 2-2. Hopper's putting up a pretty good fight here. Of course, remember his dramatic single for the win in New York. Struck him out, outside corner. So Badenhop goes down, and Loesch survives the third. Whoever wins the silent auction and has the highest bid Sunday at Tommy Bahama, Buck will autograph the mask and then give it to you after the season, because he's got to use it for the rest of the year. But either that one or the Rhodes silver one. Let's check in with Frank Fort. Frank?
All right, thanks, Rich. If you're a fan planning to bid on that John Buck mask, you may have a little competition from one of the Marlins themselves. Check this video out. Gabby Sanchez taking ground balls today and trying to mask on for size. Maybe Gabby's going to put in a bid on the mask. More likely, he was a little worried about bad bounces off that strip of turf just in front of the right side of the infield that was put down after the soccer game last night. But a little bit of a comical sight. Gabby trying on the mask for size. Maybe, just maybe, he'll be at that Tommy Bahama event to drive the price up a little bit as he was trying it on today. Guys?
Actually, Frank, last year, Gabby was one of the players that appeared. And there's a look. There's the road mask, the silver one that's out in front right now in our poll question.
Definitely, Rich, going to be game used. He's going to use it the rest of the season.
Oh, he's got two. Yeah. He's got a home and road. And if you have the highest bid in the silent auction,
you can watch games. Then you can say, hey, that's my mask.
That's my mask. 789-789. And again, you, the fans, will choose which one that John will put up for auction on Sunday. A is black, B is silver. 789-789. A is black, B is silver. As Badenhop gets a ground ball. By the way, Tommy, if you want to contribute to the cause, 10% of all sales Saturday and Sunday at the two Tommy Bahama locations on Las Olas will be donated to the Marlins Community Foundation.
So you don't really even have to participate in buying any baseball stuff. You just buy a nice Tommy Bahama shirt.
Amen. And by the way, if you have a purchase of $100 or more from 3 to 7 on Sunday, you'll get an autographed ball.
Sounds like a good deal.
It is. Be fun. I'll be there. You'll be there. But of course, for the ladies, Brian Peterson will be there. More importantly. Pujols standing in. This is the part of the order that really gave Clay Hensley some issues. The 2 walks in the first inning to Pujols and John Jay. The 3-run homer by Matt Holliday. Pujols singled in the third. And he hits an absolute bomb to left center field. Deep and gone. Number 25 for Pujols. We told you that August is usually his month of choice, and he's not had a good August coming into this ball game. But tonight he's 2 for 2 with 3 runs scored and his 25th home run of the season.
Number 433 of his career.
Here's Holliday, a 3-run homer. He lines one out to Infante at second. AT&T trivia question tonight. Since 1965, who was the only Cardinals full-time manager without Major League Baseball playing experience? Would that be Whitey Herzog?
No, I think Whitey had some big league playing experience. They think back with Albert Pujols. He has had 10 consecutive years. 30 or more home runs, 100 or more RBIs. Gonna have to go some this year. Get the RBIs. I think he'll get the home runs. Just because of the slow start. I think a lot of that, the contract, is he going to remain a Cardinal? Is he going to go somewhere else? He would never say that was on his mind, but I think it had to affect him a little bit.
What do you think?
I think he stays a Cardinal.
Two and 2 to Lance Berkman. Where will Lance Berkman be next year?
He'll have a lot of bidders. More than he had last winter.
Last winter, of course, he was coming off a disappointing season. 85 games with Houston, 37 games with the Yankees.
Hit 14 home runs the whole year.
And Badenhop misses with a changeup. Here comes Daniel Descalso.
I always loved the story about Berkman, and I think you could go back and many a young kid this was true. But Berkman started switch hitting when he was 6 because his dad was a Mickey Mantle fan. And how many kids back in that day switch hit because of Mickey Mantle?
Berkman grew up in Austin, Texas. Now Descalso's first at bat, and he takes inside. Tony La Russa before the ballgame said that Daniel Descalso, the rookie, has been indispensable. He's been absolutely a very, very valuable player for him this year. He's been able to plug him in a lot of places. Third base is probably his most natural spot. When David Freese broke his hand, Descalso was in there every day. And then the rookie's hitting 262.
He's actually come up because he was probably 220, 230 when the Marlins were in St. Louis. And you see the one home run. It was against Clay Hensley in St. Louis. 3-run shot.
Third round draft pick out of UC Davis. Descalso got jammed, and Fonte waits for the hop and gets him at first. Albert Pujols puts one in the seats, and the Cardinals have stretched their lead to 7-3. Of Florida. By 30 minutes or less in theaters August 12th. Albert Pujols with a solo homer, and the Marlins won't have Kyle Loesch to pick on anymore. Kyle McClellan, who was moved from the starting rotation into the bullpen, comes in. And Tony La Russa, sensing that, hey, he's got a 4-run lead and Loesch doesn't have it, makes a call to the pen right now.
Yeah, the Marlins go from one Kyle to another. And McClellan, who was so successful last year out of La Russa's bullpen, was really an emergency to get into the rotation with the season-ending Tommy John surgery that Adam Wainwright had. And he has a good pitch. You saw that good curveball. He's got a changeup, good fastball. And because he has spent time as a starter, number one, he can give La Russa innings here. And number two, he has a a number of pitches, not just a two-pitch guy.
He makes quick work of Emilio Bonifacio. Here comes Infante. You were right about Whitey Herzog. He played in 634 games in the big leagues, breaking in with Washington in 1956, the Kansas City Athletics.
So I'm kind of stumped then. I have to really think.
Played a couple seasons with Baltimore and finished his career in '63 with Detroit. So that's something that Herzog and Tony La Russa share. They both played for the Kansas City A's. La Russa came up as what, an 18-year-old shortstop?
18-year-old shortstop.
Infante, ground ball, base hit, third hit of the night for Infante.
Now remember when that ground ball caught him on the hand, just thinking, okay, well, it didn't affect his swing. Good swing and a 3-for-3 night. That's 3 consecutive 3-hit games. The 2 games in New York each were 3-for-5 games. So another 3-hit game here.
Here is Dobbs now. And Infante is one of those players, Tommy, that the more you watch him play, the more you appreciate him. And I know it's natural to talk about next year because the Marlins are headed to a new ballpark. And Infante, new to the team, and there have been questions as to whether, well, will the Marlins trade him? Would they re-sign him? And I think right now, you almost got to re-sign him because the Marlins come into play tonight second in the National League in fielding percentage. And the biggest reason why you're looking at right there.
Yeah, there are some that you say, well, you never know what they're going to do. I signed this guy. He doesn't give you any trouble. You know what you have, and he's a steady player.
And you talk to Perry Hill about Infante, and he'll talk all day about it. Just the work ethic. He said he's an extremely smart player.
He can look at signs, sum up the situation, and carry on a conversation with Pujols at the same time.
Dobbs takes a breaking ball and pulls it up the line, foul, and it's 1-2. And for Infante, he said just the chance to play the same position every day has made a world of difference because he was a super utility guy, and that's, you know, that was part of his charm and part of his value. And that's the reason the Atlanta Braves went hard after him at the trading deadline. They wanted him back. Another breaking ball, this one down low, and it's 2-2 to Dobbs. Dobbs has popped out and is singled. Hanley Ramirez is not in the lineup and is not expected in the lineup tomorrow night. The question will be in the next few days if Hanley's shoulder improves.
Makes it tough because in essence you have this series and you're going to be playing as the Cardinals probably will too, though, with 24 men. Here's the injury. Great hustling attempt by Hanley, no question about that. And as he rolls over on that shoulder, that's when he got that sprain and it popped a little bit.
2-2, Dobbs cranks it. Pujols from his knees gets it out there and gets the double play. That's as good a 3-6-3 double play as you'll find. Albert Pujols, a Gold Glover at first, and the Marlins' fourth is history. American Forces Network broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces serving in 175 countries aboard ships at sea. They're watching around the world in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. Our thanks to all that you do. We got some baseball here tonight. The St. Louis Cardinals and the Florida Marlins. Some of you are Cardinal fans, some of you Marlin fans, some of you just baseball fans. But we're glad you're with us because tonight is a salute to the Coast Guard night. A lot of members of the Coast Guard are here. Skip Schumacher flares one out to Logan Morrison. Morrison, especially a special night for the Marlins left fielder. His late father, who passed away from cancer in the offseason, longtime member of the Coast Guard. And Morrison showed us his first home run this year. A Coast Guard salute when he crossed home plate, and he has done it with every home run that he has hit this year. We'll show all those home runs and all those salutes.
All 16. And he's had a nice night tonight with a double and 2 RBIs.
Hit and run, swing and a miss, catch and a tag by Infante. Nice throw by John Buck. Cardinals trying to hit and run with Schumacher, and Laird had an impossible pitch to hit.
Yeah, he tries to protect the runner. The throw sails a little bit, but Infante stays with it. And you notice Schumacher, he tries to sneak by. And let's see if the tag's actually applied. There's the pitch. No chance for Laird. And the Marlins get the outs. That's a big play. That's a good play to see as a young kid, a young player. Even though that pitch was horrible, Laird tried to swing and tried to make contact.
Here's a look. Tommy, you were asking whether he tagged him or not. And from that angle, tough to tell. He did get the glove up.
That's a better angle. Got him right there on the hand, under the arm.
Yep.
So good job by our always on-the-spot camera crew.
Gerald Laird took outside. The question on the second pitch, which was a called strike, the home plate umpire, Marty Foster, said it was 1-1, but of course Laird had swung at that first pitch on the hit and run. So here comes the 2-2. Did Buck get clipped on the backswing?
I think you heard Marty Foster, home plate umpire, ask John Buck, "Are you all right?"
It may have been Foster that got hit.
It may have been John asking Foster.
The professional courtesy: if a catcher gets hurt, an umpire will clean the plate. If an umpire gets hit,
that was the umpire. Mike Kozak got to check with Foster.
Umpire gets hit, then the catcher will go out and buy some time for the umpire. Two. Outside corner. You could hear Laird barking on that one. AT&T Trivia in a 7-3 Cardinal lead. Since '65, only Cardinal full-time manager without Major League Baseball playing experience. Vern Rapp.
Vern Rapp. Vern Rapp was after that, after he had that stint with the Cardinals, then was a coach. He was on the coaching staff with the Expos. So he was coach up in Montreal at that time for Dick Williams.
This is McClellan's first at bat.
Hey, the Marlins, between Badenhop and Hensley, have now thrown over 100 pitches combined.
1-2 count. Breaking ball, no argument there as he strikes out McClellan. Cardinals up 7-3. Cardinals off to a flying start, and then Albert Pujols off of Burke Badenhop in the fourth. For Holiday is 17th, for Pujols is 25th. It's been a big night for St. Louis with a 7-3 lead. Kyle is on the mound, but it's not Kyle Loesch. Kyle McClellan came into the ball game, and he came in the fourth inning. So if he hangs around and pitches effectively, and the Cardinals hold this lead, he can pick up the win. Gabby dumps that to center field. There have been a lot of balls that the Marlins have hit out to that man in this game. John Jay in center has gone back into the triangle. He has made a great diving catch.
And most of the ones that have been hit in that direction have been hit hard.
Gabby lines out. Here's Morrison, who's 2 for 2. Stanton will follow. Stanton's the guy that hit the line drive out. Morrison a 2-run double in the first. That's the frustrating thing for the Marlins tonight. Number one, they watched their starting pitcher Clay Hensley give up 3 first-inning runs on the home run to Holiday. But the Marlins came back and tied the game in the first, and it was 3-3. And Loesch was all over the place in the second and in the third, but the Marlins couldn't add to their run total. And the Cardinals are up 7-3 now.
Lomo did not play in that series. Remember, he spent some time on the disabled list. He did not play in that series in St. Louis in early May.
Had the sprained foot.
Cardinals saw him in the spring, though.
McClellan strikes him out with a very good 12-6 curveball.
That's a vintage Kyle McClellan curveball.
Marlin fans, present your Miccosukee Ultimate Rewards Players Club card at the stadium box office. Starting 2 hours prior to any Marlins home game, get a $10 discount on up to 8 infield box seats. Offer cannot be combined and is subject to availability. Miccosukee Resort and Gaming, get in the game. Stan, a lightning bolt single to left in the first, and then a ball that was hit equally hard in the air to center for an out. So he has barreled up 2 tonight, and he's using the heavier bat. Tom, he's got the darker bat.
One. The word out of the Cardinal clubhouse, Rich, a mild concussion and contusion suffered by David Freese on that ball that Clay Hensley threw. He'll be reevaluated a little bit tomorrow as well.
Hensley hit Freese with the bases loaded on a 3-2 pitch earlier in the game. And that was the last hitter that Hensley faced in the third inning. Two. Now McClellan is staying with that breaking ball, especially against Stanton. 3-2. Cameron's hit the ball hard twice, and he's 0 for 2. Breaking ball, that one lined into left center field for a base hit. So Mike Stanton is locked in. He's had 3 very nice at bats. Cameron has had 2 very nice at bats, but he's 0 for 2.
And again, McClellan goes with that 12-6 curve. Mike stays back, but still was a little quick on it. Got it on the end of the bat and sends it past for call. So 3 at bats, 3 hard hit balls, and Mike Stanton's 2 for 3.
Now Cameron, and McClellan misses away. McClellan out of Hazelwood, Missouri. Cameron's first look at him tonight.
A little slider, a little cutter. You ain't talking about Albert Pujols, a big guy. Look at him next to Mike Stanton.
Cameron hits another ball to deep left center. Back goes Jay, and this one is caught. My goodness, Mike Cameron, 3 balls hit well, and an 0 for 3 night. Raul the Cookie join us now. Hi, guys.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Good, good. You guys doing okay?
Yes,
I
sir.
mean,
We're doing all right.
Did you keep busy while we were gone?
I'll tell you what, we miss you. Sincerely, we miss you. But you guys did a great job on the road, winning 7 and losing 2.
I like the Leo coaster analogy. It was pretty interesting.
Hey, we cannot take credit for that. That was from one of our fans on an email night. We got that, I believe, off of Twitter. Someone tweeted that, and you see Wes Helms has come into the ball game. Helms comes in for Omar Infante, who was hit in the hand on that ground ball that he dove for call takes outside.
Hey, Cookie, how much have you enjoyed watching Infante, especially lately? I mean, all year defensively, but He has been solid.
I think he's a great professional. I think he plays second base with great range. He does the double play very well. He takes his time on ground balls. He makes plays that's supposed to be difficult. He makes him look easy. I think that he's an all-around second baseman without a doubt, and I hope that we can keep him next year, to be honest with you.
We were talking about that. You've got both of our support on that, Cookie.
Well, thank you. Let's pass that along to Larry Beinfest.
It's unfortunate because we thought he was actually doing fine after that fall on his hand with the base hit he got, and then also when he tagged out on the attempted steal, he had to put his weight on that hand to maintain his balance and stay up. And we thought he was fine, but evidently something occurred.
He may have aggravated it on that tag.
That's true.
Yeah.
And you know, the Marlins are thin in the infield now with Hanley Ramirez out, Infante out. This is only the second time in his career that Helms has been at second base.
Well, I'll tell you, he's done it all, and he has to do it. I mean, we don't have anybody else that can go out into that position unless you move Bonifacio there, but we don't have anybody to play short then. So he has to go ahead and fill in, and I think that it's not his position because he don't have no range whatsoever, but he's a veteran guy and he knows how to play, though.
There's a look at that replay where the finger was hit by the ground ball. 3-2, that's strike three. Guys, have a good show tonight.
You too, guys.
fellas.
Bert Badenhop giving the Marlins valuable innings out of the bullpen. He did give up the home run to Pujols in the fourth. He strikes out for call to lead off the sixth.
Yeah, the Hopper now with 4 strikeouts since coming in the game.
Here's John Jay. He's 0 for 2. He walked and scored in the first. Big series in San Francisco. The Phillies and the Giants. Cliff Lee, Madison Bumgarner. Phillies have won 6 in a row and are 71-39.
And Dan Uggla's 25-game hitting streak was finally halted because the Braves don't play tonight.
He had, what, a base hit early and a home run late yesterday.
His longest hitting streak as a Marlin was 12.
All right, round 2. Bert Badenhop against Albert Pujols comes up now. In their first meeting, Pujols banged one about 415 feet over the Miccosukee sign in the left center field. Strike to Pujols. And another strike. Boy, a wild one for the Rays to win in 12 innings. 7-6, they beat Toronto. That was a 3-3 game going into extra innings, and it ended up 7-6. Badenhop thought he had a strikeout of Pujols.
So did Clay Hensley earlier in the game. First time up for Pujols.
That was just off the plate. Robinson Chirinos tied the game in the 11th and won it in the 12th for the Rays. Driven into right center. Stanton dives, doesn't get it, goes to the wall. Cameron picks it up. Pujols around second. He's going to hold there. So Pujols is 3 for 3 tonight. He has scored 3 runs. He is a triple shy of the cycle.
Boy, it's a good bit of hitting. Anytime you hit a ball that's probably off the plate, it looked like it was down. Great effort by Mike Stanton. Just gets by him. Extension, he reaches, can't quite get there. Pujols thought about 3, but he realized with 2 outs, he better keep himself in scoring position.
Well, he also knows that Matt Holliday is behind him.
We talked about how historically August has been the best month for Pujols, a career .342 hitter. He entered the game tonight 1 for 14 in August. But he's making up for that in a hurry.
Holiday's home run in the first came after a pair of one-out walks to John Jay and to Pujols. Buck on that pitch in the dirt got a piece of it. Pujols now is at third base. JM Lexus presents our leaders of the game. Home runs on the road. Look at the Cardinals at 67. The Marlins at 51. JM Lexus, price made us #1. Click jmlexus.com to find out how. Badenhop catches the corner. It's 2-1. Marlins home for a tough homestand. You got the Cardinals, of course, involved in the race in the Central. The Braves right now are the wild card leaders, and then the Giants, the West leaders, and the defending world champions.
Always get that good pitching, especially Braves series, Giants series. Good pitching in this series too. Jake Westbrook, Anibal Sanchez tomorrow night. Chris Carpenter on Saturday night against Ricky Nolasco. That's a dandy. And then Jaime Garcia, who's been their best, the left-hander, 10-5. He's against Javier Vasquez on Sunday.
Vasquez has almost been the Marlins' best over the last month. Badenhop gets him, ran that sinker under the hands of Holiday. Pujols ends up the third, 7-3 Cardinals. Marlins and Cardinals opening a 4-game series, and right now it's the big bats of the Cardinals with a 7-3 lead. The Marlins have more hits, but the Cardinals have made theirs count. John Buck, the pitcher's spot, and Dwayne Wise is on deck right now, and then Emilio Bonifacio in the bottom of the 6th. Kyle McClellan, in relief of Kyle Loesch, has turned in 2 scoreless innings.
He's been dropping that curveball in with regularity, and that's tough when he throws that for strikes, because that sets up the fastball, everything else.
John Buck hammers one.
He turned on that fastball
down the line and into the corner. Holiday picks it up. Buck has his 14th double of the season.
You know, with Dwayne Wise pinch hitting for Burke Batenhop, there's John Buck just turning on that fastball. The Hopper had 6 strikeouts tonight. His career high is 7. So other than the pitch to Pujols, and Pujols has done that to a lot of pitchers, a solid job by Burke Batenhop.
So Dwayne Wise now steps in. And he takes a strike. It's 0-1. One of the reasons the Cardinals moved McClellan to the pen is he's good against lefties. And they sent a couple of lefties packing in that 3-team deal. They lost Brian Talent and Trevor Miller. Updating our poll question, Tickets of America poll question. Remember, John Buck is going to provide one of his masks for our event on Sunday evening, 5:30 to 7 at the Tommy Bahama location on Las Olas Boulevard. And you tonight are choosing which one of the masks he'll put up for the silent auction. The one on the left, which is the road mask. The one on the right is the home mask. Breaking ball. He went. Wise strikes out. On the appeal, it was third base umpire Vic Carapazza that said he swung.
Always close, even when we see it back.
If the Marlins can chip away, one thing the Cardinals do not have is a lockdown closer. In fact, closing games has been a real issue for St. Louis this year. Bonifacio, Descalso picks off a short hop and throws out Bonifacio. There are 2 outs here in the 6th. Coors Light freeze cam. This is the Mike Cameron catch on the sinking liner. Nice work in center, nice work in the truck. Our Coors Light freeze cam.
Yeah, I think if there is anything, and you talked about how they did try to bolster that bullpen in the deal they made with the Toronto Blue Jays, but if there's anything that if you looked at the Cardinals and you said, all right, where's an area that needs improvement, it's certainly that bullpen, especially the back end.
The Cardinals have blown 19 saves this year, and that was the strength of the Cardinals last year. Last year, the Cardinals, as Wes Helms gets his first at bat, the Cardinals blew just 10 saves last year. That was the fewest in the National League since 2004. And now already they've coughed up 19. 2-0. Dave Duncan. The Marlins have lost Omar Infante for the rest of this game. And we're assuming it was the finger that was hit by the ground ball. He stayed in the game and actually had a base hit his next at bat.
And made a nice tag. That was with the glove.
Helms replaced him, though he did steady himself with that hand when he made the tag. Helms, a ground ball off of McClellan. It trickles by him, and Helms has got himself a hit. Buck is at third, and here comes Dobbs.
Just enough. If it's not deflected by McClellan, I'm pretty sure Schumacher, the second baseman, catches that ball. But because he deflects it, Wes Helms checks it out and gets himself an infield base hit.
Helms at first, Buck at third. Dobbs is 1 for 3, bounced into a double play back in the 4th. Though that description
that was more of a
that doesn't do it justice.
Yeah, it was not a bounce. It was a sharply hit ball that Pujols made a nice play on to get the 3-6-3 double play.
Pujols to his right dove from his knees. He threw to second, and then he got up and got back to first to get the return throw from Furcal.
Interesting, the Marlins have out-hit the Cardinals 11-7. Of course, Pujols has 3 of the 7 Cardinal hits.
And now Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan discussing what to do here if McClellan loses it. Dobbs fouls it back. Here's a look at that double play we were talking about.
Sharply hit from his knees, and then Furcal shows off that strong arm that he's had for years.
Well, he was 2-0 on Dobbs. He just got a strike on a foul ball, and Dave Duncan's on his way out. The Cardinal bullpen is scrambling to get ready. We heard Jack McKeon talk about you manage to win the game and damn the torpedoes. You know, you don't worry about tomorrow. You don't worry about the next day. If you've got a game where you've got a chance to win it, you go after it, and you get a sense that Tony La Russa is right there.
I think every once in a while you have a game where you're losing so badly, you kind of approach that game differently, thinking about the next day. But if you have a chance to win a game, different thinking.
Well, that was yesterday against Milwaukee when Edwin Jackson went 7 innings and gave up all those runs. Dobbs fouls it back. And it's 2-2. 8 runs, 10 hits, 4 earned. He went 7. And the Brewers won. Casey McGee, I think, had only 5 homers going into the game and hit 3 yesterday. Two and 2 to Dobbs. Dobbs a ground ball up the middle. Schumacher flips, and the Marlins leave 2 more here in the 6th. 6 in the books. Kyle McClellan has protected the lead so far. Cardinals Marlins. The concert is Gilberto Santa Rosa, presented by Coca-Cola. Marlins take on the Cardinals at 7:10. Fans will also get a Logan Morrison baseball cap courtesy of Preferred Care Partners, 1-877 Marlins, or go to marlins.com or go to Allison Williams. Alec?
Thank you, Rich. Lance Berkman getting set to lead things off for the Cardinals, 1 for 2 tonight with a walk, and he's having a nice bounce back year for St. Louis. After a down through 2010, the Cardinals essentially made an $8 million gamble on signing Berkman, who struggled last year. He's 35 years old, but they brought him in, moved him back to the outfield, and he seems to really have had a lot of success so far in St. Louis. If you look at the numbers, his average last year, 248 up to 283 this year. How about the home run production? 14 all of last year. He's already doubled that with 28 this year, National League best. And I talked to him a little bit about what the difference was for him in St. Louis. He said, first of all, there's a great environment here. He said the lineup is so solid and hitting is contagious. So when you have a lot of guys that are hitting, it creates a good offensive environment. And secondly, guys, he's healthy. You know, he had that knee surgery last year, missed spring training. He said he spent all of the offseason just getting his legs healthy. He felt like he played a lot of last year on one leg. So Berkman is healthy, he's happy, and it looks like that bet is paying off for the Cardinals. Guys.
Allison, he's in much better shape this year than he has been probably in the last maybe 3-4 years.
And we saw him in spring training up in Jupiter get in shape and learn the outfield over again. He'd played a little outfield, but been a first baseman the last few years. And I think that was a question, as well as what's he going to be able to do offensively. On base percentage has been tremendous. 392 coming into the game tonight.
His lifetime on base percentage coming into the season, 409. Here's the 2-2. He went around there.
He's had some pretty good environments. I was thinking when Allison used that term, it's a great term to hit in. When he was with Houston, he had Biggio and Bagwell around him. Even the little bit of time he was with the Yankees, but that you really can't compare because the knee was really giving him trouble last year.
There's Brian Sanchez and his numbers. At what point for, say, Hall of Fame voting, as we start measuring players from this era or even to other eras, does on-base percentage start to register with voters, or does it register now with voters?
I think it registers now with some voters, and I think as the years go by, maybe some of the older voters who give way to the younger voters who give more attention to on-base percentage and OPS. I think it'll change over the years, but it'll take a while.
Daniel Descalso with his second at bat.
You can just picture a pitcher giving his Hall of Fame speech saying, "I'd like to thank the voters who noticed my whip."
Probably bring a few people blushing at that point at the induction ceremony. Here's the 2-1. It's inside. And it's 3-1. Descalso for David Freese. Again, Freese was hitting the helmet on a 3-2 pitch with the bases loaded in the third inning, the last pitch that Clay Hensley threw. Descalso not happy with that, and it's 3-2 now.
There have been a lot of unhappy hitters on both sides and pitchers on both sides. It has been an inconsistent strike zone tonight for Marty Foster.
Descalso lines it into left field for a base hit. And so a 1 for 2 night for the rookie Daniel Descalso, who made his major league debut in this ballpark last year in that one-game makeup. Remember when the Cardinals came back in September and played a day game?
Yeah, it was a Chris Volstad shutout.
Descalso made the team out of spring training and has been with them ever since. Here is Schumacher. Sanchez gets a strike. It's 0-1. The Marlins are without Hanley Ramirez. He could pinch run if the Marlins needed him tonight. but he's not able to pinch hit.
Even then, you'd have to be real careful.
And the question the Marlins are going to have to ask themselves and then answer in about 3 or 4 days if Hanley's not back in the lineup is, do you keep playing with a short bench or do you put him on the disabled list and get another body here? And the injury to Infante tonight, the severity of that may play into Hanley's situation.
If all of a sudden Infante maybe can't play for a few days, the Marlins really have to rethink getting somebody here, because you can't go with Wes Helms at second base.
And at that point, you might have to disable the guy that you think won't be back before the other. Sanchez misses away. It's 2-1. On the Coast Guard night here at the ballpark, there are 20,011. "24 more games in this vast football stadium." Lance Lynn is in the Cardinal bullpen. The Marlins announcing a few days ago, Tommy, they're going to open the new ballpark with 2 exhibition games against the New York Yankees on the 1st and the 2nd of April next year.
That's no fooling. April 1st, a day game. April 2nd's a night game.
And opening day for Rio is scheduled to be April 4th against an opponent to be named later.
One of the rumors out there is that it could be the Cardinals.
It will be a one-game series, and that's how Major League Baseball kind of likes to open stadiums now. That's how Washington opened their new ballpark, and that is with one game and then hit the road for a small trip. Descalso was running and it's fouled off, so that a team, after they open the new facility, can reassess, all right, how did it go? What was the traffic flow like, both with automobiles and parking, but also with foot traffic? Where did people congregate in the stadium? Where were the lines longest? Where were they shortest? "3-2. That's why with the Yankees games, the first game, the Marlins will sell 25,000 tickets to get everybody on the same page in terms of parking, security, in and out of the ballpark.
Ticket windows. How are
and up to capacity, 36,000 seats and 1,000 standing room seats for April 4th on the opening night. 3-2 again. This one, Descalso has to hurdle over, and he's read the scouting report on Stanton. I think everybody saw that highlight the other night in New York.
We have to remind Marlins fans that this is a good at bat, by the way, by Schumacher to sting that ball. Wes Helms losing his footing. I don't think he would have gotten to it, but losing his footing trying to get that sharply hit ball. But I think the best reminder to fans is if they want to be there for that opening night, not the exhibition games. Best way to ensure that is a season ticket. If you have a season ticket, you will be able to be at that opening game.
Here's Gerald Laird, who's bounced out, was intentionally walked and struck out.
3-hit night for Skip Schumacher.
Sanchez misses in. Well, the night did not start well for Clay Hensley. 2 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 6 runs. Burke Badenhop in relief. Badenoch gave up a home run to Albert Pujols. Cardinals starter Kyle Loesch was not sharp. Marlins got 3 in the first and probably should have added on in the second and the third and failed to do so. But Tony La Russa wasn't going to watch any more of that, especially with a lead. So Loesch went 3 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned. Popped it up. Infield fly rule called. And Gabby makes the catch. Perk Badenoch 3 2/3 innings. And he gave up 4 hits and a run.
You know, Rich, I was just looking, thinking out loud. We were talking about the infield situation. And I was looking at the New Orleans numbers, and it's not been a good year for Ozzie Martinez. You know, actually, we've had a chance to see him a couple of times. Ozzie just hitting .233 in about 70 games.
Corey Patterson comes to the plate. Patterson, one of the guys that was involved in the big trade that arrives here. He had some versatility. Tony La Russa always likes that.
Good outfielder, can play all the outfield spots.
Patterson was the 3rd pick overall in the '98 draft by the Cubs.
He's been a good player, but he's never reached that level that I think a lot of people thought he would when he was drafted.
He's hitting .252 with a .287 on base percentage in Toronto in 89 games. Cubs, Orioles, Reds, Nationals, Brewers.
He's been one of those guys, Rich, that's had enough power. He's got over 100 career home runs, where it's taken away from his on-base ability for a guy who runs as well as he does.
A smash, and Gabby picks it on a hop and steps on the bag. Sanchez leaves a pair. 7th inning stretch, 7-3 Cardinals.
All right, thanks very much, Rich. Tomorrow night after the Marlins-Cardinals game, we'll debut our newest edition of Inside the Marlins. We take a look at life in the lower minor leagues. Jamestown, New York site of the Marlins' short season Class A team, the Jamestown Jammers. Now, Jamestown, the southwest corner of New York State, big grape growing and winemaking region, biggest east of the Rockies. It is also the birthplace of the First Lady of American comedy, the late, great Lucille Ball. And this weekend, they have Lucy Fest going on. And as a part of that, the Jammers last night wore these special Lucille Ball Desi Arnaz jerseys. They sold for $150, and after the game, they sold 39 of them, 35 game used, 4 extra ones. The money went to support the Lucille Ball Museum in Jamestown, New York, and the Baseball Hall of Fame sent a representative to the game to obtain one of those jerseys. So one of the Lucy Desi jerseys is going to be in Cooperstown at the Baseball Hall of Fame. By the way, guys, in those jerseys, the Jammers beat Tri-City by a score of 6-3.
So how come the Tri-Cities didn't wear the Fred and Ethel jerseys?
I think that's a great question. We have to take that up with their general manager.
And of course, Dave Berg, manager up there in Jamestown.
How funny was that last night as Lance Lynn is in the bottom of the 7th? Last night, during Rain Delay Theater, we had a preview of Frank's episode of Inside the Marlins, and we saw Dave Berg, and he actually spoke, and there were a few comments from him. And last night, we showed the A.J. Burnett clip because fans have been clamoring for it. We tried to find it on a 10-run reel game about 2 weeks ago, and we couldn't. And so we said if in our poll question we got more than 15 states, we'd show it last night. So we have the Inside the Marlins promo. There's Dave Berg talking. And next thing we do, we go to the A.J. Burnett clip, and lo and behold, there's Berg playing shortstop, and you could see Berg clearly in the shot as A.J. threw it through the truck window.
By the way, Lance Lynn has some pretty good heat. Mid to upper 90s fastball. You saw the last pitch. That's his breaking ball. Back with that heat. 97.
And he gets Gabby. That fastball and that swing by Gabby reminiscent of his at bat against Bobby Parnell.
Yeah, and I was actually talking to Gabby last night or the night before, after the game when Parnell got him. And we were talking about the movement. Not only does Parnell he threw 6 or 7 pitches 100 miles an hour. So not only does he get triple digits, but had some terrific movement.
A strike to Morrison. Lomo is 2 for 3, a 2-run double, a single, and has struck out. This is the 3rd different pitcher that Morrison has seen. His 2 hits were against Loesch. He struck out against McClellan, and now he's got the fireballer in Lynn.
It's one of those games that you allow 7 runs, it's tough. Tough to win a game when you give up 7. But the Marlins came back after the 3 runs in the first by St. Louis. They tied it. But that's it. Ever since then, they've not been able to score.
I don't think that guy was part of the filming of the Planet of the Apes promo.
Something's not right about that picture.
I think it's the feet, Tom. It's a dead giveaway.
He wasn't part of the filming of that because he doesn't have a trailer to go to.
Our director, Jim Hawley, involved in the filming of that sequence. 2-2. And Morrison strikes out. Lance Lynn comes in and strikes out Gabby Sanchez and Logan Morrison. And now Mike Stanton will get a look at the hard-throwing right-hander.
Well, he's been averaging a strikeout an inning since coming up. He was a starter last year.
Lynn with the fastball there. He's out of Brownsburg, Indiana, is Lance Lynn. And he played his college ball at Ole Miss. set an Ole Miss single-season strikeout record in 2007. Trying to line up the years with Chris Coughlin. He may have been teammates with the Coughlin at Ole Miss. Stanton fouls it back.
Well, it certainly is a different and I think better bullpen that the Cardinals have now.
One of the guys that really struggled this year, Ryan Franklin.
But the key is their closer.
Yes.
And right now, closing games for them, Fernando Salas.
A low strike against Stanton. But it's in the zone. Three-two coming. Got him. Lance Lynn blowing 97. Strikes out Gabby, Morrison, and Stanton. Planet, rise of the planet of the apes. So I'm getting a little better. Ah, see, there's the obligatory shot. We paid the guy $20 to wear the ape suit the entire night for that one shot following that one promo.
Yeah, but we gave him feet, so I don't think he deserves the $20. He took the feet off.
Our director, Jim Hawley, involved in the intricate shooting of that promo, and Jim has told us that every ape had his own trailer.
I think Jim up for an award for his efforts. Mike Dunn right now into, and there it is,
Sun Life Stadium. See, look, and even they have the what is that, the hashtag on the
right there.
Apes will rise. So that's, I guess, they have their own Twitter account. See, that's where they were. But tomorrow, our world becomes their planet. Mike Dunn flips Rafael Furcal around.
Yeah, Mike Dunn coming in after an impressive inning from Lance Lynn. Mike Dunn, more strikeouts than innings pitched. A few too many walks, but has shown some good stuff when he goes out there on the mound.
He gets the top of the order for Call, John Jay, Albert Pujols. Marlins had to get to their bullpen early, and that could affect the rest of this series. Ooh. And the news on Omar Infante is not good. A fractured right middle finger. And so the Marlins have lost not only their best defensive player, but a guy that has been their hottest hitter over the last almost week and a half.
3 consecutive 3-hit games. You can see on that ground ball as he dives for it, the right hand sticking out. The ball hits that. He stayed in the game, got himself his 3rd hit, and then may have aggravated it on that tag play at second base.
17 for his last 37.
Hitting over 400 since the All-Star break.
Stanton coming over. Mike dives and makes the catch. Boy, terrific week defensively from Mike Stanton.
That's a ball as a right fielder, slicing and slicing. You just can't give up on it. You have to keep going after it. He does, makes the grab, and then just kind of loses his balance right at the last minute. But just a great catch by Mike Stanton. That's a big man out there making that play as well.
Swing and a miss. Now remember, he did get a base hit after the finger was hit on that ground ball, but as Tommy, you pointed out, there was another play in the field the next half inning where Infante had to make a difficult catch and tag.
Let's see where the right hand is. Catches it, and then kind of see how he puts the heel of the hand down. It's bothering him then. So, you know, he probably didn't aggravate it then. You could tell just by the way he put the heel of his hand down, thing was bothering him then. And then had a little trouble getting it out of the glove just to throw it around the infield.
One, two, that is strike 3 call. Dunn has the first 2 outs. That's right after the ground ball hit his finger.
I think he knew it right away. Wow.
That's a big blow to the ball club.
Yes, it is.
You got Hanley Ramirez right now unable to play, and it doesn't look like Hanley's going to be ready in the next day or two. Now you lose Infante. Stanton in right makes the catch. So Dunn turns in a scoreless inning in relief. Marlins down 7-3. Well, Well, a party, and you're invited. Come on down. 4 Marlins players will arrive right around 5:30. Tommy Hutt and I will be there as well. 10% of all sales on Saturday and Sunday from the 2 Las Olas locations will go to the Marlins Community Foundation. There will be some silent auction items from 3 to 7 on Sunday with drinks and hors d'oeuvres, and one of those items is John Buck's catching mask. Which one? Well, you've been voting tonight in the Tickets of America interactive poll, 789-789. The home mask, the black one, that's A. The road mask right now is on top, and by a good margin. John Buck will sign that mask for you if you are the winning bidder, and you can have it as soon as he's done with it, which is end of the season. It'll be yours. There'll be other nice prizes there. If you make a purchase from 3 to 7, as you see Octavio Dotel, he'll be invited as well, especially because of those socks. If you make a purchase of $100 or more, you will receive an autographed baseball, and you can get the autographs of the 4 players that will be there: Emilio Bonifacio, John Buck, Brian Peterson, and Logan Morrison. So come on out. We'll see you out there.
Have a fun time. Dotel wearing those socks the way they were intended to be worn back in the early days of the St. Louis Cardinals.
I think when he was traded over, he saw red Shane Deets walking around and said, I got to get me a pair of those. Cameron swings and misses. Those are your old school St. Louis Cardinal socks. Actually, not that old school, because those aren't stirrups. Those are just straight socks. Cameron fouls that pitch up. Mike Cameron's hit the ball well all 3 times. Twice he's hit the ball in the triangle to the warning track out in left center field, and he lined to shortstop. Octavio Eduardo Dotel. And Cameron finally gets a base hit.
Boy, you talk about a night where he has had a great approach every at-bat. He's hit the ball hard every at-bat, and he hung in there and got himself a base hit on another good swing. He just stayed away from center field that time.
Here is John Buck. Octavio Dotel now. I mean, I'm just looking at his bio. This is his 12th team. Doesn't that tie Matt Stairs for the most teams?
Who I read the other day is going to announce his retirement.
I think he
Matt
has.
Stairs, yeah.
We'll have to get the crack staff on this, see if anyone's been with 13 teams. But I think for Dotel with the Cardinals, let me make sure this is his first tour with the Cardinals. And I don't see Cardinals on the list. I think this is team number 12. What?
Have arm will travel. He's had a very resilient arm over the years.
Breaking ball is a strike to Buck. John Buck has walked twice and has doubled. Yeah, Dotel has put in 13 seasons in the big leagues. Mostly a reliever. His longest span was with Houston, 5 years. Couple years with Oakland, couple years with the White Sox, and then parts of one season with the Royals, the Mets, the Rockies, the Pirates, the Braves, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, And now the Cardinals.
He's the kind of guy that over the years, the last few years especially, he always has his bag packed around the July 31st deadline. Because he has pretty good feeling and pretty good idea he's going to go somewhere.
He did not get that last call, pitch number 5. Cameron's at first. Marlins down by 4. Here in the bottom of the 8th. And Buck fouls back a 3-2 pitch. On deck is Brian Peterson. In the dirt. John Buck has walked 3 times tonight. And here comes Brian Peterson. I'm not even going to look yet, but I'm going to ask you, you think John Buck has walked 3 times in the game?
You know, I'm sure down the way somewhere he has. I don't know if it was this year or when he was with Kansas City or Toronto.
Nope, that's a new personal high. He had done it, he had walked twice a couple of times.
Now's the situation, Rich, where you just have to keep pecking away. Just keep the line moving, not try to get it all back at once. Because after Brian Peterson, you have the top of the order.
The splits on Dotel are pretty dramatic. Left-handed hitters are doing quite well against him this year. .42 at bats, 4 homers against lefties. And Peterson fouls it back. It's 0-2.
Another hard thrower down in the Cardinal bullpen, Jason Mott.
Peterson behind the count, 0-2. Marlins trying to get the tying run to the plate. Cameron's at second, Buck's at first. Top of the order, Bonifacio around the bend. Breaking ball, line into right field. That's a base hit. Cameron will be held at third. The throw comes into second. And now they're loaded up for Bonifacio. And let's see what Tony La Russa does.
Just another super at bat from Brian Peterson. He fell behind. Dotel tried to throw that breaking ball. He stayed right on, and that's his 4th pinch hit. Solid swing, solid line drive, bases loaded, filled with Marlins.
Tony La Russa on his way out to the mound. And the call has gone out to the bullpen. Octavio Dotel retires no one here in the 8th. Bags are loaded. Bonifacio coming up. Fish down 4 in the 8th.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Rudy!
And the Cardinals are 4 deep in their bullpen now with Jason Mott coming out. The ex-catcher converted to a hard-throwing reliever has had a nice year with a slender 2.11 ERA.
Mott would be a great guy for Chris Hatcher to hook up with and talk about the transition from being a catcher. Jason Mott was in the minor leagues. Kind of unique delivery as he comes to this set position, almost has his back to the plate and throws gas.
Bonifacio, it's inside, and it's 1-0 in a ball game where the Marlins have lost Omar Infante to a fractured finger. Hanley Ramirez is not available with a sprained shoulder. The Fish trying to fight back against the Cardinals. Have them loaded in the 8th. Bonifacio pops it up shallow left. Out goes for call, and he makes the catch. That's an enormous out. Now it's Wes Helms who's in Infante's spot coming up.
Couple of at-bats tonight, the one early in the game by Greg Dobbs and that one by Bonifacio that are uncharacteristic. We've seen Bonifacio be more patient and wait in that situation, especially after he saw ball 1. I was really surprised he went after that next pitch.
So here is Helms. Infante had 3 hits, including 1 after he fractured his finger. Helms had an infield single in the 6th. And this will be a real challenge to catch up to a 97-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah, Wes is going to have to get it started a little sooner and hope that Mott doesn't flip the slider up there.
Cameron Buck and Brian Peterson. Bags loaded with 1 out. Fastball, ground ball, foul. Bullpen coach Derek Lilliquist.
Former left-hander makes his home up in Vero Beach.
Mark Zepchinski.
Tried to take a test this morning and see if I could spell Zepchinski and Smarja without looking.
I'm just happy to be able to pronounce it.
I failed miserably.
Zepchinski. 0-2. Struck him out. Simply blew it by him. So if the Marlins are going to get anything out of this bases loaded, nobody out spot, it's up to Greg Dobbs.
Just not going to catch that fastball, especially at that velocity. Catch up to it up there. There was a guy, we were talking about Dotel and all the teams, and there was a guy I was trying to think of, and for some reason Mike Moore kept coming into my head, but it wasn't. It's Mike Morgan.
Right.
I just got from our West Coast crack staff for a little help, and Mike Morgan came to mind.
Mike Morgan was one of those guys, I believe, that Charlie Finley drafted out of high school.
Out of high school.
And brought him right to the big leagues.
Came right to the big leagues.
Tony La Russa on his way out. Now, is he going to bring the lefty in? Mott and Laird,
he can't believe it,
are a little surprised. Now he came in, he got Bonifacio, he got Helms, but he won't get to face Greg Dobbs.
When you need a car, truck, or van, who you gonna call?
the remnants of that 8-player deal that brought some bullpen arms. Zepchinski. I don't know if it's tougher to spell it or pronounce it.
I think spell it. Either way, he's got fastballs and sliders, a few changeups. But he will give Greg Dobbs a tough AB.
Zepchinski out of Southern California, University of California, Riverside. And a breaking ball, a strike to Dobbs. 5th round pick of the Blue Jays. And with the Jays this year, 2-3 with a 2.97 ERA. So he was pitching well. Dobbs lines one into left field. Base hit. Run scores. Buck will hold. 7-4. And now you got Gabby Sanchez coming up. And let's see if Tony La Russa goes and gets another pitcher, another right-hander. Zepchinski.
Boy, this is a perfect approach by Dobbs. Slider away, stay down on it, and line it into left field. Great swing.
And now Gabby comes up. Bags are loaded. La Russa signals out for Laird to go out and stall. They're trying to get the righty ready in the bullpen for Gabby Sanchez.
Yeah, you always kind of love it when things backfire and the opposing manager makes all these moves. We had a classic look of Jason Mott when Tony La Russa came out to take him out of the game after he just blew away Wes Helms. He couldn't believe it. So now Zepchinski comes in. He can't get Dobbs. Now they're trying to stall time to get Salas ready. Look at Mott. Look at this. What? You got to be kidding me.
And it's Dave Duncan who comes out to make this pitching change. So I'm not sure why Duncan came out to make the pitching change instead of La Russa. But the Cardinals bring a righty in. Bag still loaded. Still 2 out.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Rudy!
Seven innings and 10 runs to save his bullpen yesterday. And tonight it seems like he's using everyone he's got down there.
Sixth man out of the bullpen.
Fernando Salas with Gabby up, Bags loaded. Breaking ball in the dirt. The Marlins are within 3 runs. Short-handed on a night when Hanley is out with the sprained shoulder. And Omar Infante is left with a fractured finger.
Fastball not overpowering, low 90s from Salas. Breaking ball, he'll throw a changeup. Has a pretty good changeup. Spots that fastball.
Ball and a strike.
Right now, Brett Hayes, the only available man for Jack McKeon.
The one grand slam he has in his career was hit in St. Louis against tonight's starter, Kyle Loesch, who was long gone. Salas doesn't look like he can throw that breaking ball for a strike. Gerald Laird had to go out and get it. Yadier Molina serving the 5-game suspension handed down today. Buck, Peterson, and Dobbs. The inning started with Octavio Dotel. Continued with Jason Mott. The 2-1.
There's that changeup.
It's a good pitch. It's 2-2. Mark Zimchinski came in and gave up the single to Dobbs, and now Salas, who's the closer, trying to close the 8th, and then obviously would probably come out and pitch the 9th. Two. Joe Espada with a nice move to get out of the way.
Right now, as it stands, the only reliever left in La Russa's bullpen is Mitchell Boggs.
Two and two to Gabby Sanchez. Fastball, and he missed it. Jay comes in, and he makes the catch. The Marlins get one, but they leave them loaded. Been that kind of night. On top of the Marlins. There's a lot of confusion going on for the Fish right now. Logan Morrison came out with a first baseman's glove and was at first base warming up the infield, and Brian Peterson was out in left field. And then here's Lomo at first base. Now Tommy, he would not have his first baseman's glove on if he was not told to go out there and play first base.
Yeah, and Peterson raced out to play left field because you're thinking, okay, a double switch. You're going to have Cishek hit in the spot where Gabby occupied. Now all of a sudden, a change is made. Because Lomo's due up first next inning.
Yeah, it would be Morrison, Stanton, and then Cameron. That one fouled back to the screen. Cishek misses down low. Now, you can see what the Marlins were thinking, because Peterson was in the 9 spot after pinch hitting. And if they left him in that spot, he would be up 5th in the 9th inning. But the Marlins, maybe they were reluctant to take Gabby Sanchez out of the game, or maybe they're reluctant to put Logan Morrison at first base in the game. I'm not sure which. That's a question to be asked after the ball game. Because you could have put the pitcher, Cishek, in Gabby's spot.
Now the only pinch hitter you have, if it gets to that spot where Peterson was, is Brett Hayes.
And, you know, the question would be, if you get to that 5th spot, would you want Peterson hitting against what probably would be Salas, right, the right-hander?
Or it'll be Boggs, another right-hander.
Meanwhile, Cishek walks Holiday to open up the inning.
Either way, a lot of confusion, and I'm with you. Somebody told Logan Morrison to go to first base because he had his first base glove. He was already taking some throws. And Peterson raced out to left field.
Well, and the Marlins' issues compounded with the fractured finger by Omar Infante and Hanley Ramirez's shoulder injury. The point might be moot if Steve Cishek doesn't throw strikes here soon.
Well, the other issue tonight for the Marlins, 12 men left on base.
Yeah, Peterson wouldn't have run out to left, and Lomo wouldn't have run out to first. But apparently, Jack McKeon had not come out and given the home plate umpire, Marty Foster, the changes, because if he
had not given the double switch. No, he never came out of the dugout.
Because if he had, then Morrison would still be at first and Peterson would be in left. And Cishek is 3-0 on Berkman. He walked Holiday on 5 pitches. And Berkman lines one into right field, a base hit.
There's a real pro and a guy who knows what to do when he gets the green light. Get out in front, pull the ball, hit it hard, get a good pitch to do that with, and he did all those things.
Randy St. Clair is on his way out to the mound. And he's going to try to settle down Cishek. Now, if you're the Cardinals, I know you've got a 3-run lead. But if you've scouted Steve Cishek, you know that he is not very good defensively. He's thrown 2 balls away at first. Might you force him to throw another one here and have Descalso drop down a bunt?
I wouldn't be surprised to see Descalso try to drop down a bunt.
Descalso 1 for 2. He came in for David Freese, who left after getting hit in the head with a Clay Hensley pitch. Descalso showing no signs of bunting, takes a strike. It's 0-1. Descalso's only 24, Mountain View, California, San Francisco Bay Area. Always tough to strike out coming up in the minor leagues. Cishek with the count 2-1. Well, just like St. Louis, the Marlins have had to go deep into their pen. Mike Dunn a scoreless 8th. Cishek bends one in there for a strike. Brian Sanchez a scoreless 7th. Burke Badenhop went 3 2/3, and the Marlins won't be able to use Badenhop for a while. He threw 64 pitches. Descalso lines one in the gap left center. Cameron there. Holiday tags. He's on his way to third, and he'll get there.
Well, it served almost the same purpose. Sacrifice bunt. He got it deep enough to get Holiday to third. Berkman stayed at first, so the double play still is in order. But a tough out. Schumacher, we've talked about, has 3 hits tonight, a couple of singles and a double.
At the corners, infield back for 2. And remember, you've got a guy playing second base, a grizzled veteran who's playing second base for only the 2nd time in his entire career, in Wes Helms. Just in case there is a double play ball.
Yeah, most of his career, Wes a corner man, a third baseman, first baseman.
Yeah, Helms came in and played an inning of second base in the blowout game in which Brian Peterson pitched earlier this year. Now Mitchell Boggs is getting up in the pen.
Well, you get down to that number 9 spot, you know that he's the only man left for La Russa.
Cishek gets a strike, counts 2-2. Looking at Helms' career numbers, this is the 1,208th game in Helms' career. He finds himself at second base. Got him. Cishek strikes him out.
Well, he's been throwing this pitch a little better than his fastball, slider. He goes down and in with the slider, and with 2 strikes hits Schumacher to chase it. It's an interesting decision here.
Yeah, Brian Terrio is on deck. Whether the Cardinals...
Could be a little bit of a decoy.
Yeah, whether the Cardinals are going to...
I think you go after Laird here.
It would be interesting to see, though, if they would pinch hit with Terrio and use their last reliever to try to get a save.
Yeah, because Salas has been their closer. He's been closing out games. So Tony La Russa either has all intent to put Salas back out there, and that's just a decoy. Or he would go ahead and make the move. But a lot of it depends on this at bat.
Well, at the corners, Holiday at third. You just saw Berkman. Laird fouls it back. Cishek with the count even now at 1-1.
So far, Rich, have been 341 pitches thrown in this game.
How many managerial maneuvers have there been?
I think 298.
We just saw the Marlins make a double switch and then change their minds and switch back. Cishek 1-2 on Laird. and it stays 1-2. Good crowd tonight. 20,000 on Thursday night. Coast Guard night. Good representation from the Coast Guard. We'll have that Logan Morrison Coast Guard salute on Marlins Live after the game. 1-2 pitch, breaking ball, got him. So Cishek had first and third and nobody out, and he gets out of it. Marlins down 3 going to the ninth. The car trucker van, who you going to call? 1-877 Marooney. Tomorrow, our world becomes their planet. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. The Marlins need to rise up here in the bottom of the ninth. They have out-hit the Cardinals, but are down 3, 7-4. The Cardinals are down to Mitchell Boggs left in the bullpen. Fernando Salas, who got the final out of the 8th, faces Logan Morrison, Mike Stanton, Mike Cameron. And Morrison takes down low. It's 1-0.
And gets a good view of that changeup from Fernando Salas.
Another changeup driven into right center field. Berkman over, and he makes the catch. Fortunately for the Cardinals, there was no collision. John Jay was sliding after it. Berkman was running after it, and they almost met.
Logan Morrison almost hit this one soft enough that it was going to drop in the gap, but Lance Berkman was able to get over, keep his concentration. Look at John Jay come right behind him with that slide.
Mike Stanton, 2 for 4. Salas misses away. After Stanton, you've got Mike Cameron. If it gets further than that, John Buck. After Buck is the pitcher spot, as Tommy has pointed out, and we've talked about tonight. Brett Hayes, last guy on the bench. Of course, Hanley Ramirez is still on the active roster, but he's not available to hit. Omar Infante has left with a fractured finger. Marlins have used Brian Peterson, who got a pinch hit. Dwayne Wise, who did not. That one fouled into the seats. Wes Helms has come into the ball game. And it's 2-2 on Stanton. Salas buries that. It's 3-2. The extent of the fracture in the finger of Infante probably won't be determined until tomorrow.
Yeah, you can get a little better feel of that tomorrow, but just fracture is not good.
Stanton stays alive, and it's 3-2.
And the Cardinals will get a little better idea of David Freese, their third baseman, who was hit in the head by that Clay Hensley pitch.
Slight concussion and a contusion. And that was not a glancing blow off the helmet. Stanton is rung up. Shakes his head. Let's take a look at it.
I haven't seen Fox Tracks, but I'm going to think it's pretty good.
Yep, Fox Track says strike. And so Marty Foster was on that one. Stanton is out, and here's Cameron. Mike, in 4 at-bats, has hit it hard all 4 times. Singled on a liner to left his last time up. Hit 2 balls to the track in the triangle in deep left center. And then he lined to short his first AB. He's behind the count 0-2 as Fernando Salas is close to finishing this ball game for the Cardinals. Breaking ball, ground ball to short. A tricky hop, and this one belongs to the Cardinals. St. Louis wins it. The Marlins had their opportunities, but the Fish leave 12 on base. Albert Pujols with the Gunther Volkswagen drive of the game. This in the 4th inning off Bert Badenhop. Clay Hensley lasted just 2 1/3. Neither starter was sharp tonight, but the Cardinals come in here and capture game 1 of a 4-game series. 7 runs, 10 hits for the Cardinals. 4 runs, 14 hits for the Fish. The Cardinals left 10, and the Marlins left 12. Our SunTrust performer of the game is Albert Pujols. Pujols with 3 hits. A homer, a double, a single. He scored 3 runs. Marlins Live is coming up. We've got that Coast Guard salute from Logan Morrison and all the highlights, news and notes from this one.